be doing.
Finally, with the first increase now due in June, do you have any idea yet what some of the first projects are likely to be?
Well, they say that they're going to do replacement poles, but when they give you the list, it's amazing. There's no way to tell what it is. Are they replacing a transformer, replacing a pole? Are they working on the underground infrastructure? There's no way to decipher. It just has a location, and it's impossible to discern what it is they're going to do, how much it costs, and whether or not they're, then it would make it difficult to measure whether or not they were accountable for it. And so I really think that as long as the council continues to approve rates without accountability, without knowing exactly what we're buying, they're going to continue to spend money willy-nilly. They were supposed to spend $600 million after the last energy crisis when DWV profited some $600 million. That was supposed to be spent on the infrastructure. I still haven't gotten accountability for that.
Well, we'll be waiting for it along with you, I'm sure. District 7 Council Member Richard Alarcon, drive safely, and thanks for joining us on Council Week in Review.
Take care, Jack.
Item 12 on Wednesday, April 9th, was a first consideration of an ordinance that would regulate vending and excessive noise along the Venice Beach Boardwalk. Councilmember Bill Rosendahl, whose District 11 includes Venice Beach, asks the city attorney to explain the new ordinance and how it's intended to work.
Take us through the framework of the new ordinance. Please begin by explaining the new P and I zone. What are they? Who may use each zone? How they are intended to work? Are all of the spaces on Oceanfront Walk? What are these spaces' sizes, and how many spaces are there? The P and the I's. Explain that to us.
Thank you, Councilman. Adjacent to the merchants on the boardwalk, the draft...
Grab the mic up closer to you and state your name for the record.
Yes, I will. I'm Senior Assistant City Attorney Mark Brown. Adjacent to the merchants on the boardwalk, the draft ordinance establishes P-zones for performing artists and speakers who are primarily not engaged in vending expressive items. There are 105 P-zone spaces, 5 of which are double-sized for the performers who draw large crowds, 10 of which are unassigned and available on a first-come, first-served basis, and 2 of those which may be used only for giving away food. Items may be given away free of charge, and donations may be requested, but may not be required to receive an item in the P-zones. No permit is needed to occupy a P-zone space between November 2nd and the day before Memorial Day weekend. During peak season, however, which is Memorial Day weekend through November 1st, a permit is required and spaces are assigned weekly by lottery. However, after noon each day, any person may use an unoccupied space for a lawful P-zone purpose, provided they immediately relinquish the space to the assigned permit holder upon request. The draft ordinance also creates I-zones. A permit is required year-round for the use of an I-zone space, which spaces are assigned by lottery.
That item is now before us. Mr. Rosendahl, I know there were a couple of amendments that were made to that. Madam Clerk? They were friendly amendments, as I recall, both of them. So before we take the vote, Mr. Rosendahl,
Why don't you do the friendly amendments, and then I'll make a comment to that.
Okay, the 2 amendments, the first one was to move that the CAO and the CLA work with Rec and Parks and LADWP to identify fundings to implement provisions of this new Venice Beach Boardwalk ordinance and to report to Budget and Finance Committee in 30 days. And the other the other amendment was to adopt the new ordinance, which has some amendments in subsection 4F.
Thank you. That item is now before us with those amendments. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Thank you.
And joining us now is District 11 Council Member Bill Rosendahl. Mr. Rosendahl, welcome to Council Week in Review.
Thanks for having me here.
Venice, known worldwide as an open-air, virtual, year-round carnival with free admission. The ordinance here is not so much about behavior, really, as it is limited space, isn't it?
It's a combination of issues, but we're looking at over 200 spaces so we can keep it in some kind of an order that works for everybody.
Now, the situation isn't who would be allowed to sell or perform along the Venice Boardwalk. That's been going on for years. Give our viewers maybe a little bit of history over the past year or so as how this debate has evolved.
Well, first of all, it's been going on forever because Venice Beach is the most exciting, eclectic, everything goes kind of a beach in the world. So you have all kinds of issues all the time. This particular ordinance that we hope to have in place by the weekend of the big summer kickoff, Memorial Day weekend in the end of May, gives us an opportunity to put some order in place. The biggest issue the merchants had were illegal merchandise being sold on the other side of the boardwalk, which was the west side. Then there were issues of homeowners and renters who lived in the neighborhood who felt the sound at certain places was just intolerable, and they had problems. There were performers who had problems because they wanted to do their performing. We had vendors who had product they wanted to sell that were also concerned, and we had the overall issue of how does everybody work together? You know, the vendors, the local merchants in their business, the performers, the entertainers, and even the free speech advocates, plus the community. So you're looking at how to get all the stakeholders on the beach in some kind of a harmony so that the summer experience, which is the biggest part of the Venice Beach moment, goes well.
Looking over some of the notes of the ordinance as you've constructed it, you refer to the P zone and the I zone. Why only 2 zones? Did you consider more, and exactly what are they?
Well, there's 3 zones. I mean, there are some areas where the decibel level can go. The P's and the I's, you have an explanation of how they operate, but they basically allow us to set some order within the organization. You know, this came about by a judge named Pergerson, who was dealing with the constitutionality issue of one of the vendors there. It was an ACLU suit, and we did not want a new ordinance to go in place that then would be thrown out again and have constitutional muster issues. So the judge spent a whole year with all groups trying to come up with something that would work for everybody. So this is a product not just of our city, but of a judge who understands constitutional law, with the hope that constitutionally it will stand. The big challenge for us is how to explain this to everybody involved in the issue. The LAPD is going through training on it right now. Recon Park as well will be doing it. And I need to find the funding sources as we go through the budget process so that people can understand this ordinance so that it will work for everybody.
Let's go through a couple of the basic points. For example, about commercial vending. No commercial vending allowed in these designated zones. How will commercial vending be defined?
First of all, commercial vending are the vending that you see right now on the east side of the boardwalk. These are people who have business licenses, people who pay their employees, live within the rules that city sets up for any merchant. The merchants or wannabe merchants on the west side are basically, some of them, carting the same stuff that's on the east side, selling it at huge reduced prices, don't deal with business licenses, don't deal with any of the real aspect of the competition between businesses. The businesses were in an uproar over what was happening at Venice Beach, and that was one of the issues. But there was also the uproar from neighbors hearing sound that just drove them nuts, decibel levels that were just out of control. And then you saw some battling going on, be it verbal or even more serious than that, among performers and some of the special craft people. When you have such an open, free expression beach, which Venice Beach is, you're going to have issues. So the hope is that this new ordinance will give everybody an opportunity to exist side by side. You know, Channel 35 covered all the town halls we did on this. And I know a lot of the viewers watched 3-4 hours every time we held a town hall. 50, 60 people speak from all parts of the spectrum. And frankly, I listen to everyone, and this is a crafted version that hopefully will satisfy as many of the issues as possible.
Well, you mentioned crafting some decibel levels, for example.
Yeah.
You also have enforcement timing, don't you, in terms of what can happen at what time of day?
Yeah, and those timing issues and decibel levels are part of the instructions that will go out with Recon Park and with people who pick up an application and get a license. It's $25 to get that, $10 to renew it annually, but it's nominal. You collect the data on the individual, you understand where they're coming from, and then you figure out what category makes sense in terms of where their product should be. You know, some people create their own goods, others really don't, and just put a little stamp on it and pretend it's their own goods. They have to go through those issues issues so it isn't causing undue competition on the legitimate merchants on the other side. But these processes will be worked out, and frankly, there'll be fine-tuning and tweaking needed as time goes on. My hope is this, is that over the next year, as we go through this and issues arise, that we're able to modify it, make it a living, breathing kind of an ordinance, not as totally strict as life is with laws, but appreciates the ambiance and the influence of just that great opportunity that people have. You know, Venice Beach has more tourists coming than anywhere else in Southern California, maybe rivals with Disney a little bit, or maybe the Hollywood area, but over 1 million people come to our beaches. And people come from all over the earth to walk one time on Venice Beach to look around, get a sense of it, and then move on with their life. Others, of course, come more often, and others end up living there. So it is a place to go to. It's world-renowned, as we all know, and we're very proud of our beach, and we hope that this will continue to make us proud of everything.
Amen. One of the very first places I ever took my parents when they came out to visit.
Yeah.
Bill, you mentioned a minute ago enforcement. Is this strictly an LAPD enforcement issue? And by the way, what about the penalties for if people don't comply?
The penalties are you're no longer allowed to go on the beach if it's just a simple violation of the rules. If you get into confrontations with others, you can obviously be subject to some criminal penalty issues. The LAPD deals with the criminal side. Rec and Park, that's the Recreational Park Department, deal with basically all of the aspects of this ordinance, where you go into to have your slot, you know, what you need to do to be within compliance. It's a Rec and Park issue. But if things get out of control and a person violates all of our other laws while they're there, then the LAPD steps in, and they're only brought in as a last resort, brought on by some element that nobody appreciates.
How long before the new regulations actually go into effect and become enforceable?
We said at the council, I said forthwith, and that means go to the mayor right away, get him to sign it. And once the mayor signs it, then it has to be published, and then it has to be out there for 30 days. The goal is to get it in by Memorial Day weekend.
Before we let you go, a couple of other issues. This past week, the city's gang programs were put under the mayor's control. How important was that?
Yeah, well, look, the buck has to stop somewhere. By putting it under the mayor's office, it's the mayor's responsibility to carry it out. All of us will always be involved because we're the council. Council has a balance of power role here. The budget process goes through us, and when we moved it to the mayor's office, we want report backs to see how it's going. And over an 18-month period, all that report back will give us comfort that everything is working well. Connie Rice was right with her study. There were too many silos in other parts of the government, right hand, left hand, not talking to each other. That needs to be consolidated. Everybody has to get on the same wavelength. The issue is so significant. And we, of course, care about intervention and prevention strategies. We talk about after-school programs. We talk about jobs. We talk about how we can make the quality of life better for young people in our city. But to have the buck stop at the mayor's office is appropriate.
The other really big story, of course, of the week had to do with the water and power rate increase getting approved. Are you satisfied with the compromise that was crafted there?
Well, you know, I got a lot of phone calls from my constituents and people throughout the city very upset about their rates going up. I'm upset too. I don't like to pay more water and power bill myself. But what really triggered for me was the experience of the old cable plant. I know cable. I was in the cable business for 22 years. I can tell you about cable. It does get old. Some of our plant out there is 60 years old, built in the 30s, that needs to be replaced with the new technology of today. Infrastructure, reinvestment is key for our whole water and power system. So we're doing it that way, and we're going to form a citizens oversight committee. Each council member will appoint someone that I hope, in my case, the 11th district, will be a pit bull, scrub the numbers, find out the details, see that they're accountable. We want that rate increase to go directly into that infrastructure development. We want to see progress reports, and we will see progress reports. I think David Nahai is a superior choice for general manager. The mayor picked a great guy. I think Nick Pitsouris, who's chair of the oversight committee, another mayoral appointment, is an incredible, tough guy with a sharp pencil and a sharp eye. So I have a good feeling about the department and its commission. And I also feel that our council oversight will be ongoing, and we will hold them accountable, and with the citizen layer on top, we'll also have the transparency needed. I think those neighborhood councils and Soledad Garcia and all those people that have come down have done a great service to the city by taking this interest on, discussing it, making it bigger and stronger so that the accountability could be better than it was. I think it's a good moment, even though none of us want to pay more.
Well, we've reached the checkout line of this section of the program, so I guess it's time to ask you, Councilman, paper or plastic?
No more plastic. We want to do 25 cents. We just supported a motion out of Sacramento that talks about getting away from plastic. Right now, if you watch this and you have any plastic bags, put them in the blue bin and we will recycle them. But 95% of the plastic doesn't end up in the blue bin, unfortunately. It ends up in our gutters, into our system, into our fish, and it's terrible. We have to deal with it. The legislation in Sacramento will address that issue, and hopefully we will come to a day when plastic is something of the past, not the present. We need those canvas bags that you use, go back in and bring them back out in that bag. That's the best way, sort of a cloth bag.
District 11 Councilmember Bill Rosendahl, after all these years of watching you, sitting in the other end of this process, thanks for joining us on Council Week in Review.
And thanks very much for having me.
And again, the vote to adopt new vending and performance regulations for the Venice Beach Boardwalk was adopted with a unanimous vote. And we would like to thank again Council members Alarcon and Rosendahl for taking the time to join us on this week's program. LA City View is the government access cable channel for the City of Los Angeles, featuring live coverage of City Council meetings and programming about City Department services and events. You can watch City Council meetings live or view past meetings by going to the city's website at lacity.org and follow the instructions provided for video on demand. We invite you to address the Los Angeles City Council on any item on the council agenda, as well as during public comment. You may come downtown to City Hall or go to the Van Nuys City Hall and participate via video teleconferencing. And remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Council Week in Review can be seen Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. and on Sundays at 9:30 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending April 11th, 2008. On behalf of Randy Cox and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
District, Ms. Perry.
We're on now. Yes. Yes, you can proceed, Mr. Garcetti.
President, and a very good morning to everybody. On Fridays, it is our custom and practice in City Council to mark important commemorations and to celebrate or commemorate individuals who have enriched the life of Los Angeles. Today, we welcome myself and the President Pro Tem Councilwoman from the 2nd District, Wendy Gruhl. We welcome some of the most important members of our community here in Los Angeles, from the Armenian American community, to have one of our most somber commemorations, which we do each year here in Council Chambers. I'd like to recognize His Eminence Archbishop Hovnan Derderian, who is here today from the Western Diocese of the Armenian Church of North America. Also His Eminence Archbishop Musa Mardirosyan, who's the prelate of the Western Prelacy of the Armenian Apostolic Church as well. We have the Consul General from Armenia, who is here today, Armin Leloyan. Andrew Kazarian, the Executive Director of the Armenian National Committee of America, Western Region, and Unified Young Armenians, the students that we see that are behind us, an organization that plans an annual Remembrance March in Hollywood that was estimated last year to bring 70 to 100,000 Angelinos together to commemorate the Armenian genocide. I also want to recognize students from Alex Polivo School in my district and AGBU Mary Manougian Demerigian School in Canoga Park, who have also joined us. That's in Council District 3. Mr. Zine, we thank you for your leadership there as well. The reason each year that we come together to commemorate the genocide of Armenians in the early part of the 20th century is that we are all too familiar with the saying that those who do not remember history are doomed to repeat it. We wish that we could come each year to focus on the souls of those who have been taken from us. We wish we could come solely to commemorate the past and know that the lessons have all been learned, and that we as a world, as we did with the Holocaust in Germany as we learned after the Rwandan genocide, have learned our lessons, and that everybody acknowledges the history that has occurred. But as we acknowledge today the genocide which took half of the Armenian population from the face of the earth, and the attempt to exterminate a people and a culture that became the model for all the subsequent genocides of the 20th century, referred to specifically by Adolf Hitler when he said, after all, who remembers the Armenians? We resoundingly and with one voice to say, who remembers the Armenians? Well, today we say we do. We remember the Armenians not because it is something of the past, but it is a living present, and one which all citizens of the world must recognize as well. During the Armenian genocide, nearly 2 million Armenians were expelled from their homes. Only 500,000 of them survived, and those remaining were completely exiled from their historic homeland. The tragedy of the Armenian genocide has been acknowledged by governments around the world. International bodies have claimed the truth, have written the history, have documented this tragedy. It can be personally attested to by thousands of survivors, fewer and fewer each year, but we have had in these chambers, as we have each year, those who physically survived and are the living testament still today of what happened to their families. Here in Los Angeles, which is either the second or third largest population of Armenians in the world, I think probably second outside of Armenia only to Moscow, we know the contributions that have been made by the Armenian community. Los Angeles would not be the great city, the strong city, the prosperous city that it is without the Armenian community. And each year, Armenians and people of Armenian ancestry all over the world commemorate the darkest event in their collective history of over 3,000 years. Today, we acknowledge what happened, because there are still voices out there, and they include our federal government, who have still not, with one voice, acknowledged the history of the past. There are governments that are out there who will not acknowledge the actions that were taken and the lives that were lost. But against every single lie, we have this, a resolution, which unfortunately is the 93rd anniversary of the genocide, which speaks the truth. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Councilwoman Wendy Greuel to say her remarks as well, and then we'll hear from some representatives of the Armenian community.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. And April 24th does mark the 93rd anniversary of the Armenian genocide. As we gather to remember the anniversary of this tragedy, we must use this time to recognize these murders as genocide. Mr. Garcetti and I have continually, and the City Council and our mayor have continually supported the federal government recognizing that this is a genocide and asking Turkey to recognize it as well. This crime spanned from 1915 and 1923 and resulted in the deportation of nearly 2 million Armenians, of which 1.5 million men, women, and children were killed. The killing and deportation succeeded in the elimination of the 3,000-year presence of the Armenians in their historic homeland and served as a model for subsequent genocides of the Holocaust, Rwanda, and today, Darfur. The Armenian population here in Southern California across the world has demonstrated that it is one of the true survivors. They were removed from their homeland and have once again flourished and become an integral part of our greater community here in the Los Angeles region. With large Armenian populations throughout the United States and Massachusetts, Michigan, New York, and California, I am proud that California is such an appealing destination for Armenians, although we share that with Fresno and Glendale. And of course, my colleague Eric and I often have a friendly bet going on who has more Armenians in their district. But I'm proud to say that as the most recent count, CD2 has the most Armenians of any council district. Did you push that just so that would happen every time?
We know CD2.
I am proud of the values the Armenian community has brought to my district and all of Los Angeles. It is the value of working hard and making sure that your children receive a quality education. It's the value of one's pride in their history and culture, and it's the value of standing up for what you believe in. The Armenian community has taken on leadership roles in government and business and are active in both the immediate Armenian community and the greater community in Los Angeles, and I appreciate the contributions that they have given to our region and to Los Angeles. Together we move forward and stand together to recognize the Armenian genocide. It is so important to remember, as Mr. Garcetti mentioned, what has happened in the past so we do not repeat it in the future. While 93 years may seem a very long period of time, we must always keep this in our recent memory to keep history from repeating ourselves. And so each year we will stand here to remember those who were killed, to remember that it was a genocide, and to remember the wonderful contributions of the Armenian community here in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask the Consul General of the State of Armenia to say a couple words as well. He is here to represent a country that is a living testament to the continuation of the Armenian people, which also exists, of course, very strongly in the diaspora. But please welcome Armen Aloyan.
Council President, Council members, eminences, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have gathered to commemorate the 93rd anniversary of the Armenian genocide in the Ottoman Empire. We have gathered for remembrance in the city, in the state, and in the country where hundreds of thousands of Armenians, genocide survivors, and their descendants have found refuge. This commemoration ceremony is not a formality, as some may think, nor is it simply a demonstration of solidarity of Los Angeles city residents with their Armenian friends, with the Armenian people. Commemorations are very important events in the face of growing threat of genocides in the world today. Take Bosnia, Rwanda, or Darfur. All are recent examples of how the evil of impunity and denial can behave, if not confronted, condemned, and being held responsible. Commemoration is the victory of truth over expediency. Commemoration is a condemnation of violence. Commemoration is a way to counter distortion of history. It is a call to responsibility and therefore to prevention. Commemoration is the acknowledgement of the past and even the present, but not an obstacle to the future. And this is the point I want to highlight today. Armenia wants to share a prospect of a peaceful region, but we cannot build that future alone. We want our neighbor to engage in this process, to engage voluntarily, consciously, and sincerely, to engage without requesting Armenians to renounce our past and our history, to engage without attempts to mislead the international community in the matter of the genocide recognition. Turkey calls on Armenia that genocide be studied by historians. Do we need to study eyewitness stories of our grandfathers and grandmothers? Do we need to prove that our churches and monasteries are monumental standing evidences of the Armenian presence in the Ottoman Empire? Do we need to prove the reports of foreign diplomats and missionaries at the time of the massacre? Do we need to call on Turkey not to ignore the records of their military tribunals? Do we need to prove that millions of Armenians disappeared after the events which Turkey doesn't recognize as genocide? How the Armenian diaspora in the Middle East, Europe, America was formed? How an independent international center for transitional justice arrived at the conclusion that events of 1915 constituted genocide? Why the European Parliament and a large number of countries have recognized the Armenian genocide? These are the questions that should be addressed by Turkey. But we distinguish between the current Turkish government and the Ottoman Empire. Neither Turkish society of today nor its government could be held responsible for the genocide. But they are responsible for denying it. They are responsible for calling others to deny it. They are responsible for the prevention of future genocides through engagement in open dialogue and recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, genocide is a crime against humanity. By commemorating the Armenian genocide and other human calamities, we condemn the evil in its most horrible manifestation, the deliberate extermination of an ethnic group. By commemorating the genocide of Armenians, we prevent the similar crimes against humanity, and therefore we save human beings from being killed, tortured, deported, and left without any protection. By tolerating denial, we agree to witness killings, tortures, deportations, and injustice. Our responsibility is to reject denial. In conclusion, let me express my words of appreciation to Los Angeles Council President Eric Garcetti, Los Angeles Council members, and all friends of Armenian people for joining us on this day of remembrance. Thank you.
Next, we'd like to hear from our clergy that is here. I'd like to ask His Eminence Archbishop Hovnand Erderian to speak, and then we'll hear from Archbishop Martirosyan.
Honorable President and members of the Los Angeles City Council and distinguished guests. All great things are simple, and many can be expressed in single words: freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, and hope. These are the words of Sir Winston Churchill, which embody in themselves the vision of the martyrs of the first genocide of the 20th century. They have sacrificed their lives for freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, and hope. They knew well that the price for their vision would be the cost of their lives. However, they chose martyrdom rather than the oppression of the soul and the denial of their spiritual and moral values. Their martyrdom as the victims of the first genocide has a special message to convey not only to the children of the Armenian nation around the world, but also for all humanity. Freedom of the faith is a gift from God, which cannot be taken away from us forcefully. Justice prevails only when we all render unconditional respect for all. Honor is the reward only for those who fulfill the promise of life. Duty is the conscience of guarding spiritual values. Mercy should be reflected in action in our daily lives. And finally, hope is the ultimate virtue which helps us better understand that dreams are realized beyond the horizon. The recognition of the first genocide by the LA City Council brings justice to the memory of the victims. They are remembered in our prayers with dignity and with the promise that history will always honor their martyrdom for their courage, who gave their lives for freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, and hope. Though they were silenced, but never failed to cherish the dream of Armenia. Almost a century ago, the United States of America has embraced the orphans and the survivors of the genocide and has strengthened in us the renewed sense of commitment to pursue a noble cause, namely the recognition of the first genocide of the 20th century. This blessed country has become home away from home for our children, and their commitment for America is firm and genuine, and their love for their ancestral land of Armenia symbolizes the love for the people of God. Our journey of life in this country will be a journey full of commitments, a journey of successful achievements, a journey of resurrection which will bring justice to the memory of the martyrs of the first genocide of the 20th century.
Thank you very much. And Musek Martirosyan, our Archbishop as well, will share his thoughts and words, and we always welcome him here. It's great to have him here.
Honorable City Council Eric Garcetti, Council President Pro Tempore Wendy Gruel, City Council members, distinguished community leaders, and guests. As we have gathered here to solemnly commemorate the 93rd anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, we join together to pay homage to the loving memory of our martyrs and to renew our commitment to attaining proper recognition and justice for our ancestors who perished between 1915 and 1923. We ask the Lord to grant peace to the souls of our martyrs and to all those who have fallen victim to similar atrocities. For 93 years, the Armenian people have tirelessly fought to promote awareness of the first genocide of the 20th century. We are thankful for the many strides that have been made, and we are certain that with our united efforts, unwavering resolve, and the strength of our voices and prayers, justice will prevail in due time. We thank you, the members of the Los Angeles City Council, for boldly standing by the Armenian people and for your support in our common quest for truth and dignity for all mankind. We are grateful to all of you who diligently pursue this cause with a drive and determination that is truly commendable. May God bless you all, and may He lead you in your service with His divine wisdom and guidance. Thank you very much.
We'll hear just briefly from two other speakers, Andrew Kazarian, as I mentioned, who's here from the Armenian National Committee, and then we'll hear from the Unified Young Armenians. And I just wanted to point out, too, I should probably be embarrassed by this, but this resolution which we are presenting, signed by all the council members and the mayor, is also signed by our acting city clerk, Karen Kalfayan. It's nice to have an Armenian signature there at the bottom as well. So with that, Andrew.
Distinguished members of the City Council, honored guests, honored clergy, City Council President Eric Garcetti, City Council President Pro Tempore Wendy Gruhl. On behalf of the Armenian American community, it is with great sadness that we find ourselves here again to commemorate the 93rd anniversary of the Armenian Genocide. All of the community organizations that are here today with us are a testament to the axiom that we must not forget, we must always remember, and we must learn from the past. This body serves as an example. This body serves as a beacon of light for justice, respect for human rights that resounds nationally in other city councils, in other mayors' offices, in other state legislatures, in other governors' offices, in the United States Congress, in the Oval Office. In the past year, much has happened. The United States Congress, on October 10th of last year, passed House Resolution 106 in the Foreign Affairs Committee in the face of unprecedented opposition by our own government and by outside governments. Just this week, newly elected Congresswoman Jackie Speier of the San Francisco Bay Area added her name to the list of co-sponsors for this resolution. In the United States Senate, we saw the President withdraw his nomination for an ambassador that refused to acknowledge the Armenian Genocide correctly. The community will keep a very close eye on the proceedings that will ensue later this year for the new ambassadorial nomination. The community applauds this body. The community appreciates the work of this body on human rights and looks forward to enhancing our relationship. Thank you very much.
And finally, we'd like to invite forward Arutin Hartunian. And I'd like, as he comes forward, all the young people that are here, from Unified Young Armenians, from the schools that are represented, to please just stand up so we can thank you for being here as well.
Honorable members of council, Honorable President Garcetti, today we are here for a very important event. Today we are here to commemorate the Armenian 93rd anniversary of the Armenian Genocide. While many preach human rights, while many preach democracy, this body of local officials, you have proved, rather than preaching, you have practiced democracy. You have practiced protecting human rights, human dignity. And we, members of the Armenian community and the members of the youth, as Americans and as Armenians, we are here to thank every single one of you. Every year we hear that many governments, be it the Turkish government or their allies, try to deny a historic reality. They try to deny that the Armenian genocide happened. They try to deny that 1.5 million people, if not more, perished. Today, this show of unity proves that once and for all, we as people, as members of the humanity, we would stand up and would make sure that the world would not forget. Honorable members of the Council, today I would like to show our support, our groups, our members, and members of the Armenian community. We support every step that the Council has taken and hopefully will take in the future. Every year, hundreds of thousands of Armenians gather in Little Armenia, Hollywood, to commemorate the Armenian genocide. And this year, we will continue our fight, we will continue our struggle, and we would like to invite every single one of you to take part, to join us, to join forces with us, so we can achieve what has been taken away from us for so long. Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate it, Madam President. We will present to the Consul General this commemoration of the 93rd anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, on behalf of Councilmember Wendy Gruhl, myself, and the entire City Council.
Mr. Rosendahl, while they're taking pictures, want to say a few words?
Thank you, Madam President. I hope we continue to do this until the entire world acknowledges and recognizes this genocide that happened. For two reasons. One, the Armenians who were absolutely annihilated, and that the community always remembers that. Secondly, that it becomes a lesson that we must stop on this earth from these genocides like are going on right now in Darfur. And some feel politically it's happening in lots of other places. So the conscience of the planet continues to be you standing right here today and making us aware that those kinds of atrocities should never happen again. Never again. And thank you for putting this presentation.
Thank you very much, and thank you all. We appreciate your presence here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcetti, and to all of your visitors today. And while your next presentation is coming up, Mr. Alarcon wanted to make a very quick announcement.
Madam President, members, it's my pleasure to welcome some students from Sylmar High School. Can you stand up? These students represent the Student Watch program, which is modeled after the Neighborhood Watch program, and we're not sure, but it just may be the first Student Watch program in the city of Los Angeles. And so we want to commend them for being here and participating in government. And I have to tell you that given that yesterday the city attorney and district attorney just announced that we are imposing a gang injunction on the Sanford gang, particularly based in Sylmar, these young people are reflective of the opposite of what is going on with the Sanford gang. So we greatly appreciate their activism in trying to root out crime from our neighborhood and representing the best of the best at Sylmar High. The Student Watch program is similar to the Neighborhood Watch program. As I said, we are all familiar with that program. Sylmar High School may, as I said, might be the first. I hope that we reflect it in others, in other schools. They are accompanied by Officer Chacon from the Mission District Police Station and their teacher, Jeff Lujan. Where's Jeff? Hey, Jeff. How you doing? So please welcome the students from Sylmar High School Student Watch program. Congratulations, and we'll be looking for you. I'd be happy to visit your campus, and hopefully you'll get involved in some of our cleanup. Were you involved in our Earth Day event where we cleaned up Sylmar? Okay, some of you were, so thank you so much for that as well. Congratulations, and welcome to City Council.
Thanks, Mr. Alarcon. I think, Mr. Garcetti, you're ready with your next presentation?
So Mr. Alarcon, would you like to join me, Mr. Alarcon, for the Ruben Salazar presentation? Perhaps, and Mr. Huizar may be joining as well. Council members, next week our nation will commemorate a great American who paved the way for many to follow in his footsteps, and who opened the door for many Latinos who became integrated into American civic life through his work. Journalist Ruben Salazar's legacy continues to inspire many, and his story will be retold to a new generation with the issuance of a postage stamp in his honor. Ruben was born in Ciudad Juarez and raised in Texas. In 1959, he joined the Los Angeles Times as a local reporter. He covered a young Cesar Chavez and the Bracero guest worker program before reporting from abroad in the Dominican Republic, Vietnam, and Mexico City. In 1969, Ruben gained national recognition as the first Mexican-American columnist for a large U.S. newspaper. And today we celebrate the Los Angeles Times for having the wisdom to recognize that in what was always a very important Mexican-American city. But unlike other Mexican-American cities that often didn't recognize that, the Los Angeles Times stepped forward. He wrote about what it meant to be a Mexican-American in our country, addressing issues that were so important to so many of us and our families, addressing issues that continue to be as complex today as they were then: bilingual education, treatment of minorities by law enforcement officers, illegal immigration, and race relations. He continued to write this weekly column even after moving to KMEX TV as the news director. In August 1970, Ruben was shot while covering an anti-Vietnam War rally in Los Angeles. His life came to a tragic and sudden end at the age of 42, but his legacy lives on. Today, the National Association of Hispanic Journalists awards Ruben Salazar scholarships to aspiring journalists, and many schools, parks, and community centers have been named in the memory of Ruben Salazar. We continue to look forward to celebrating the life of Ruben Salazar with the issuance of this new postage stamp, and it's my honor to declare April 22nd, along with Council Members Alarcon and Huizar, this entire City Council, and the Mayor, the day the stamp will be issued as Ruben Salazar Day here in the city of Los Angeles. I'd like to ask Councilmember Alarcon to say a few words, and then we'll hear from his family and from some of the representatives who have joined us here today. Councilmember Alarcon.
Ruben Salazar was a hero. He represented all that the future would bring to Los Angeles in the way of empowerment for the Latino community. But not only did he challenge the United States to improve itself with regard to civil rights and Latinos, he also challenged the Latino community to be better, to be responsible for their actions, and to work harder to achieve success, particularly in education. He was a lightning rod in so many ways, and he was also targeted by many who felt his message was far too strong to be published in the LA Times. I was there that day, and I remember the 50,000 or so people who were protesting the Vietnam War, and in particularly the high proportion of Latinos who were represented in the Vietnam War. They felt discriminated against, they felt used, and there was a lot of tension. Ultimately, it broke out into a riot, and we later heard that Ruben was killed by a tear gas canister. There was a national outcry for an investigation, and I don't remember how many days, but it was on TV for, I think, a whole month. It was the first time a trial had been put on TV, and it really called to task law enforcement to do a better job in terms of enforcing the law. But it also provided for us an opportunity to learn more about our own community and to take on Ruben's life as our legacy, particularly those of us who were there. And yes, literally running from the violence that was occurring. But I think that many of us who have continued on in the political realm can embrace that day as one of the days that inspired us for continued activism. And I can say to the family that I can't believe that Ruben Salazar has been given a stamp, but it is long overdue, and I am so proud, and I know that he is smiling wherever he is. So on behalf of the 7th Council District, and I know particularly the Latino members, but this very liberal city council that embraces people who fight for civil rights, I am very pleased to be a part of the city council today when we honor Ruben Salazar.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Alarcon. I'd like to invite the publisher of the Los Angeles Times, our friend David Hiller, who is here as well, who has continued the legacy and is continuing to make sure that Mexican Americans and Latinos have a voice in the city's largest paper. Please welcome David Hiller.
Mr. President, members of the Council, thank you so much for having us here today and for this special tribute. On behalf of all of my colleagues at the Los Angeles Times, we want to thank the City of Los Angeles for honoring our colleague Ruben Salazar, who gave everything, ultimately his heart, ultimately his life, into telling the story of Latinos in this great city. Setting aside a Ruben Salazar Day and the issuance that the Postal Service has announced of a stamp gives us an occasion to look back and celebrate and recognize with pride this Mexican-American man's hard-hitting articles and columns. He wrote about the Latino community, its hopes, its frustrations, and they were, for him, doing this work was a sacred trust. When he reported from East Los Angeles, he took readers with him, and no reporter for a major American newspaper had ever ventured there before or brought America with him. Salazar, who had covered news stories across the country and Latin America, wanted to make sure that all of us, all of the institutions of American society, were open to and served all of our citizens, white, brown, and black. This eloquent reporter was 42 when he died, tragically killed during an anti-Vietnam War demonstration in the streets of East Los Angeles in 1970. But his memory inspired an entire generation of Latinos to become journalists. So we take great privilege and honor to be here today with the Council and the members of Ruben Salazar's family, and thank you for this recognition on behalf of all of us who try each day to live the legacy of Ruben Salazar. Thank you very much.
Olga Briceño is the director of the University of Arizona's Media, Democracy, and Policy Initiative and has been a big driving force behind this day and this commemoration, and we would be honored to hear some words from Olga at this moment.
Thank you, members of the City Council. I appreciate the opportunity to address you. You have no idea how proud the Latino community is today, not just in Los Angeles, but in this country. Ruben Salazar's story is a story of pride. It's a positive story for this community, and it's a positive way in which to document the contributions of Latinos in this nation. And I so appreciate what the Postal Service has done, the Salazar family allowing us to do this, and also to you. You made my day, let me tell you. Thank you so, so very much.
Thank you so much, Olga. And we have a couple other speakers. Larry Dozier is here from the United States Postal Service. And before we hear a word of thank you from the family, we'd love to hear from Larry.
Good morning, Council President, Council members. I'm here representing the Postal Service. And each year the Postal Service issues stamps that commemorate people, places, and events that are important to America. And we issue about 50 of those stamps each year, called commemorative stamps, out of a suggestion of about 50,000. And this year we're issuing the American Journalist stamps. And on those stamps will be Martha Gellhorn, John Hersey, George Polk, Eric Severide, and our own Ruben Salazar. As you may imagine, there's great interest in these stamps. And they will actually be issued the first day in Washington, D.C., on April 22nd. And usually, when a stamp is issued on that first day, they're only available in that city. But this stamp is so popular that when we issue it on the April 22nd in D.C., it's going to also be issued here in Los Angeles. And the Postal Service, we're happy to cooperate with the Salazar family and with the Los Angeles Times to issue these American Journalist stamps, and especially commemorating our brother Ruben Salazar. Thank you so much for making this, proclaiming this day Ruben Salazar Day. Thank you much.
And I know there's other council members who want to say something right after as well, but I want to give Councilmember Jose Huizar a couple words, and then we'll hear from Lisa Salazar Johnson, who would like to thank us, and we'd like to give her this resolution for Ruben Salazar Day.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I have a picture drawing of this stamp up in my office, proudly displayed in my conference room, because I want everyone to see as they walk in how much of an impact Ruben Salazar had on my life and those people in my district. He passed away not too far away from District 14 and in the unincorporated part of East Los Angeles. And he not only left a mark in that area, but for many Latinos who he inspired and who showed us that in every institution in the city of Los Angeles, there needs to be a voice for those that are part of Los Angeles. Ruben Salazar was that voice for many years. He talked, we read about how he mentioned that sometimes he felt alone in these places. But he was a pioneer, he was an inspiration, and I'm happy to say that for this young man who attended UC Berkeley and read about him in those times, he inspired me to come back to Los Angeles and continue the work that he did, to continue to make sure that all people are represented in all institutions in the city of Los Angeles, and that voice needs to be heard. Thank you very much.
The three of us would like to present this commemoration to Lisa Salazar Johnson, the members of the Salazar family that are here today to commemorate Ruben Salazar Day in Los Angeles and this great commemoration on the stamp that will be coming forward on the 22nd. If you'd like to.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Thank you to the City Council. As you can imagine, our family is deeply honored with this, honoring him with a U.S. postal stamp, this resolution, Ruben Salazar Day. It is just a wonderful honor. I have with me today my brothers here, John Salazar, and his children, Ruben's grandchildren, Brianna, Sarah, and Taylor. And my husband Dave is with us, and my children Christopher and Alex. And we are all very proud of our father and our grandfather. Thank you very, very much.
Mr. Rosendahl, you want to add something?
Thank you, Mr. President, for bringing it to our attention, and Mr. Alarcon for presenting it as well, and Mr. Huizar. Having been a journalist for 16 years doing television shows to inform, educate, and connect people to the issues of the day, I can't tell you how important good journalism is in this nation, a democracy where knowledge is power. And the more people understand the issues, understand what's really going on, the more they're able to participate in the political process. I might say I'm ashamed by a lot of the journalism today on television, which isn't journalism. It's just gotcha politics and so on. But the fact that Ruben Salazar was out there during the Vietnam era, an era I know quite well, having been a veteran of that era and having dealt with the repercussions of that war, it touches my heart very much to know that during that period there were true journalists doing the work that is so important to make the democracy work. And I say to his grandchildren, you got quite a legacy there. You have quite a grandfather there who has made a huge impact, not just on the Latino community, but all of us in this great country. Bless you all. Thank you.
Mr. LeBon.
Mr. Garcetti, Mr. Alarcon, Mr. Huizar, the Salazar family. My father was in the newspaper business and knew your father. and the tragic loss that was there. I remember as a child, a teenager, when this incident happened, this horrible incident. As time passes and we have to heal through this process, an institution like the Postal Service recognizes this, which is so important. And the institution like the Los Angeles Times recognizes this, which is so important. And in just chatting with Ms. Hahn as I would here, I thought of our federal building and our federal courthouse and our postal service, which used to be out of that federal courthouse. We should find some ways to make images on our main street of people like Ruben Salazar, like Dr. Martin Luther King, like anyone who will inspire someone to find the trail, like young Jose Huizar from UC Berkeley read about your father, your grandfather, and said this man is someone who we should know about and still remember, because the stamps are very important. I thank the Postal Service often for what they do to this country, but the image of putting someone on there means an awful lot to those people who were part of that experience, were family, the tragedy. But I think we could do more. So with Ms. Hahn, we're going to talk to the Postal Service to find ways to exhibit these great images of people. Because I just tell you, personally, I get inspired when I find a rock and a plaque on it, and it tells me in 1915 somebody planted a tree there on that road in Griffith Park. As I look back into history, when someone sees this stamp, there'll be someone who will look back into the history of Ruben Salazar and what he did, and it will inspire them later. So congratulations to everybody for being involved in this very special moment and continue the legacy of Ruben Salazar. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Ms. Hahn.
There will be unveilings in some of the local post offices on April 22nd, so look out for those. And we thank the Salazar family for honoring us with their presence here today. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcetti. I'd like to now recognize Ms. Perry for our next presentation.
The members of the Los Angeles Grand Sumo Tournament would join me here at the podium. Some representatives. Some figures. Come forward. Well, it gives me an enormous amount of pride to introduce the gentleman behind me, and you see we have a grand representation in anticipation of the Los Angeles Grand Sumo Tournament. I'm joined here today by representatives of the Los Angeles Grand Sumo Tournament and the Japan Sumo Association. They have traveled here to Los Angeles to promote the Los Angeles Grand Sumo Tournament, which will be taking place right here in the heart of our city at the Los Angeles Convention Center this year from June 7 to June 8. It is truly a special event, and I have attended several years in a row, and I can tell you it is an incredible sport. And it is great fun to not only watch, but to see the levels of fighters and wrestlers participate and compete against each other. This will be the first professional sumo tournament in Los Angeles since 1981, an absence of 27 years. Sumo is an ancient sport of Japan dating back more than 1,500 years. The Grand Tournament will honor the similar tradition and customs of this unique sport and will feature the top 40 professional sumo wrestlers in all of Japan. Today, the sport of sumo has become popular internationally, and there are sumo wrestlers currently participating from Mongolia, Korea, Russia, Bulgaria, Estonia, and even Los Angeles. The executive committee of the Los Angeles Grand Sumo Tournament is presenting this upcoming tournament, and the event is headed by Chairman Shigemitsu Inohana, who we have joining us here today. Also in attendance we have Sendagawa, correct? Is that right? Sendagawa Oyakata, who is a retired sumo wrestler who now owns and operates his own sumo Stable. All right. And currently serves as the official representative of the Nihon Sumo Kyokai Japan Sumo Association, which runs professional sumo in Japan. Masashimaru, is that right?
Musashimaru.
The very handsome gentleman here, Oyakata, also joins us today from Hawaii and is the second foreign-born yokozuno in the 1500-year history of sumo. Also, we have another sumo official, Tochiazuma Oyakata, who has made the trip from Tokyo to Los Angeles to be here with us today. Special recognition is in order for Mr. Wayne Miao, the president of the organization, and he has worked very hard to ensure that the tournament runs smoothly. And I want to thank all of you today and look forward to attending the tournament in June. And anybody here in the chambers or watching on Channel 35 at home, you can learn more about the tournament by visiting www.sumotour.com. If you have not had this unique and special opportunity of seeing a sumo tournament firsthand, now in June will be your chance. And I would like for you to come and say just a few words on behalf of everyone.
Honorable City Council person, special guests, other honorees, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Los Angeles Grand Sumo Tournament and Japan Sumo Association, thank you for recognizing our group today. We are truly honored by these resolutions, which will remind us of the warm hospitality and the friendships of the people of your great city of Los Angeles, especially your Los Angeles City Council. We look forward to your support and attendance to our upcoming Los Angeles Grand Sumo Tournament, which will be held on June 7th and 8th at your Los Angeles Sports Arena. We assure you that we will present the best of professional sumo wrestling from Japan, along with the cultural and historical view of these national sports. On behalf of our group, thank you very much for this great honor, and we hope to see all of you at our Los Angeles Grand Sumo Tournament in June. Thank you very much.
Introduce the wrestlers. Introduce the wrestlers.
Yeah, I want to introduce. This is Musashimaru Oyakata, first grand champion from foreign country. He is American. And this is Tochiazuma Oyakata. He just retired. He used to be a second ranking wrestler. This is Sendaga Oyakata. His nickname is Big Giant Killer. So he is very strong. And this gentleman is Troy Collins. He is the president of United States Sumo Federation.
Thank you very much. Come on.
This is my partner, Mr. Wayne Miao.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. I know you have an additional presentation with the Consul General.
Step in the back and take it. Yeah, you can guide them in the back, and we'll do the second one. And I will be right there.
And just colleagues, after Ms. Perry's presentation, we will quickly run through the agenda before we go to the next one.
There. Thank you, Consul General. I am also joined here by the Honorable Roy G. Young, Consul General of Belize, who I am sad to report will be retiring from his post here in Los Angeles. I wanted to take this opportunity to officially thank him for his service here in Los Angeles and wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Roy G. Young was appointed Consul General here in Los Angeles in December of 1998 and has served in that capacity for almost 10 years. In his role as Consul General, he has worked hard to be a voice voice in our community and is a current dean of the Consular Corps. He received a diploma in social administration from the University of Swansea, Wales, and received certification in the field of paralegal studies from the University of Belize. He has also served in the Belizean government as Assistant Social Development Officer from 1970 to 73, Belize City Town Clerk from 73 to 78, and Belize Chief Elections Officer from 1978 to 1987. In addition to those positions, he has served the people of Belize as Mayor of Belize City from April of 1991 to March of 1992. He has also served as Chairman of the Belize National Sports Council, where he initiated and organized the Belize Games. Throughout his work in this capacity, he headed a delegation to Mexico to negotiate the details of a bilateral sports agreement, as well as headed a sports delegation to Cuba to discuss technical assistance programs. As you can see, Mr. Young has had a long and impressive resume that includes service at all levels of government to diverse communities. We are lucky here in Los Angeles to have benefited from his expertise and his dedication to our community. So on behalf of the City Council, I join in congratulating and commending the Consul General of Belize, Roy G. Young, for his dedicated years of service to the people of Los Angeles, and in his capacity, he has served as a great representative of his country, and I just want to say thank you again and invite him to say a few words.
Before he speaks, Mr. I'd like to, Councilor number 4, we'd like to ask Mr. LaBonge would like to say a few words.
Council General, it's great to see you and everyone, your family. What wonderful words of remark. The spirit that you've given the Consular Corps, of which next to New York City and Hong Kong, Los Angeles is home to more consulates than any other place in the world, not a capital city. But you've done a great job. You've been a great leader for the Consular Corps, and congratulations to you and your well-deserved recognition this day and in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, too.
Say a few words? Say a few words.
Yes. Council members, distinguished guests, good morning. I wish to express my deep gratitude and appreciation to Council Member John Perry for the acknowledgement and the presentation of this award. I do this on behalf of my family, my wife,
She's right there.
Wilhelmina, that is behind me,
She's hiding.
and my daughter, Carol, standing beside my wife. I also wish to recognize my distinguished colleagues, the Honorable Dr. Kadrin Gill, who is the Honorary Consul General for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Mr. Joseph de Oliveira, the former consul for Guyana. It has been a privilege for me to have served my country for the past 10 years. During that period, we were able to forge an excellent working relationship with the Consul, and especially with Councilwoman John Perry. She has been a strong supporter of the Belizean community. In fact, she was instrumental in getting a resolution passed to recognize the Garifunas, a very unique ethnic group of the Belizean community. And in April, we celebrate Garifuna Day, and that has been possible through the efforts of Councilwoman John Perry. She has also been instrumental in assisting us in organizing a very successful CARICOM Diaspora Town Hall meeting held in May of last year. And that was a very successful event, and we had the ambassadors representing the CARICOM countries visiting Los Angeles for the very first time to meet with members from the 14 CARICOM countries. So it has been a very fruitful working relationship with Councilwoman John Perry, and she certainly has the support of the over 60,000 Belizeans living in the Los Angeles area. So once again, I want to express our deep appreciation to you and to this council for making my stay and my work a very fruitful one. I want to think that through our working relationship, we have cemented ties that exist between your country and Belize. And thank you very much again.
We'll go in the back and take our pictures.
Thank you very much, Ms. Perry. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 12 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. First item of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Yes, Mr. Wesson moves, Mr. Zine seconds.
Next are commendatory resolutions for approval.
Those will be approved.
Madam President, would you like to go through public comments?
We'll go through the agenda and come back to the public comments.
Items 1 through 4 are items for which public hearings have been held. Reports for items 2 through 4 have been submitted.
Thank you. Any specials, colleagues, on items 1 through 4? If not, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Those items have been approved. We'd like to have item 2 go forthwith. Next items.
Next are items 5 through 12, and those are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. Madam President, item number 11, for the record, the hardship exemption from the Echo Park Interim Control Ordinance is for properties located at 1819 Montrose Street and 1910 Park Avenue. There's a request to continue this item to Tuesday, April 22nd.
That will be continued to April 22nd. We do have cards, colleagues, on this item. It looks like items 6, 8, 9, 10, and items 12, 13, 15. I'm sorry, we're just up to 12, correct?
Yes.
So that would be just up to item number 12. So the items before us, colleagues, would be items 5 and 7. Any specials on items 5 and 7? If not, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Next items?
Next are items 13 to 14, and those are items which public hearings have been held.
Colleagues, any specials on items 13 and 14? If not, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on items 13 and 14, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Next items?
Next is a special meeting, and I'll call the roll for that.
Thank you.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 12 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. First order of business?
Item number 15 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
That item is now before us, item 15. Anyone want to call that special? If not, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on item number 15, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Next item?
Next is item number 16, and that is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration, and Madam President, there is a card on that.
There is a card that will be called special. Next items?
Madam President, this meeting can be adjourned and go back to the regular meeting now.
Thank you. We will go back to the regular meeting. Next item?
Oh, Madam President, I'm sorry. 16 needs to be continued to the regular meeting.
16 will be continued to the regular meeting.
And that brings council to items called special.
Thank you. And I know Mr. Zine is going to take the chair while I do the next presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that applause. For simply sitting down. Councilmember Wendy Gruel going to make that presentation.
I could ask everyone who's here for the Week of the Young Child to please join me here at the podium. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much, colleagues. And as a mother of a 4-year-old and a children's advocate and a representative of the City of Los Angeles, I am proud to declare this week as the Week of the Young Child. Today we are highlighting the importance of the people, the organizations, and the policies that serve our city's children. As elected official, I believe it is part of my job to plan for the future of our city. My job is making sure that we take the right steps to create a better Los Angeles. To create a bright future for our city, our first priority must be to protect the welfare of our children. We have a lot of work to do. 18% of our children under age 18 and 24% of children under 6 live in poverty. In the United States, 15% of children under the age of 18 and 24% of those living in poverty are not covered by health insurance. And a majority of mothers with children under 18 work, including 59% of those with infants and 74% of those with school-aged children. As a working mother, we must ensure that there are good child care opportunities and supportive employer policies to be able to meet the needs of our young children throughout the day. Our next generation of leaders must be prepared to face the challenges our future will bring. To face these challenges, our children must be able to read and write. We need our children to stay away from gangs and street violence and instead find good jobs that pay well and provide benefits. We need to provide our children with opportunities to explore their creativity, taking advantage of the arts and music and culture of our city. We want our children to feel safe outside and play sports and stay healthy. We want our children to stay drug-free and out of prison. And we know that the best way to achieve these goals is to provide a safe, healthy, and happy environment for our children when they are young. And we know through scientific, educational, and anecdotal evidence that the shape of our children's future is formed during their first 5 years of life. Young children are incredibly impressionable. I see with my own son that he soaks up everything that is around him. And particularly, I think an organization that is trying to look at universal preschool across the city, and you talk to any elementary school principal or teacher in kindergarten, and they will tell you those kids that have had the opportunity to go to preschool do better in their first year at kindergarten. So specifically, I would like to honor the Los Angeles Universal Preschool. LAUP's mission is to provide a safe and healthy and happy preschool environment to the children of Los Angeles. Their success was recently recognized by the California Council for Excellence, an organization committed to helping public and private groups achieve results. LAUP received the California Award for Performance Excellence, meaning LAUP not only has an impressive mission, but it achieves impressive goals. We can see some of the great work produced by LAUP students that are displayed outside the controller's office. We are truly fortunate to have a partner like LAUP as we work to provide safe environment for our city's children. And so I'm honored today to be joined by Claire Shepard, LAUP's Chief Financial and Technology Officer, Celia Ayala, LAUP's Chief Operating Officer, and other LAUP staff members in declaring this the Week of the Young Child. And so it's my pleasure, I'm not sure which one of you are going to speak first, okay, but to recognize this as Week of the Young Child. And you may know we have two new children here in the City Council chambers as part of our family. Jose Huizar has a new baby, as well as Councilmember Alarcon. And so if you can see the red in his eyes, you know, for both of them, they've lost a little sleep in those first few months. But this is a council and a city that recognize the importance of providing that quality and affordable child care for our residents and to support the Week of the Young Child. Claire.
We have Mr. Huizar wants to speak.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. And thank you, Ms. Grew. You have always been a champion for raising to us the importance of supporting our young people and children. And now more than ever, we've seen and know about the importance of the early years of our young people and how important that is to their social development, their brain development. And I'm happy that the state of California had voted a while back for Proposition 10, a tobacco tax, which the voters said very loud and clear, we want to support the development of young people in the state of California. But unfortunately, as you know, in this difficult budget time, the state legislature, the governor is talking about taking some of that money to fill that deficit. Councilwoman Gruhl will be introducing a motion soon that will say, no way, we know the importance of using this money to the right place, which is an investment in the future in our young people. And now more than ever, when we see our young people who live in poverty getting more, our indicators are going down. Issues of obesity, of hypertension, of diabetes. And so we want to make sure that we continue to invest where that money will give us the most dividends. So I want to thank all of you for continuing to do some of the most important work that the state of California and the city could be doing. And certainly the city has a lot more work to do to partner with the county and now the USD to ensure that these young people have an opportunity to grow and show their God-given potential when they're healthy, educated, and they get the resources they need. So thank you for all the work you do, and this crew has been a loud voice here in City Council to make sure the city is doing more than it can to ensure that we're providing those resources for our young people. So thank you very much, and I look forward to introducing that motion with you, Ms. Crew, because I think we have to stand up and say, no way, Jose, don't take those dollars. That's the first time I used that saying, by the way, that cliche. It's the first time I ever used that cliche, but it's worth it for our kids, so thank you.
Thank you. Proceed, please. Thank you.
On behalf of Los Angeles Universal Preschool and the more than 350 preschool providers in our network, thank you for this resolution. We appreciate you supporting the Week of the Young Child and recognizing the needs of young children and their families, and acknowledging that a high-quality preschool experience is valuable to all. We also appreciate that for the second year you're hosting an exhibit of art created by children in LA Up preschools. It's on the bridge to City Hall East, and we hope that you'll all have an opportunity to see it and hope that it inspires the young child in all of us. Thank you again.
I just want to thank the City Council for recognizing LA Up for the work that we do, because as Mr. Huizar and Councilwoman Gruhl is saying, is so important. The first 5 years of any one child are the most important. And I am so glad that the City Council is standing up to Arnold and saying, no way, because we want to make sure that those dollars go where they were originally designated. And we too at LA Up want to appreciate the support, because as you all know, First 5 LA is our primary funder, and they put out $580 million to make preschool for 4-year-olds happen. So we want to make sure that also that money is there so that the quality preschool programs throughout LA County are maintained for a long, long time to come. Thank you very, very much.
And I just want to add, colleagues, and the work that LA Up has done, and again, there is nothing like giving that kid that first chance. And we know, and Ms. Hahn has been a big proponent on prevention and ensuring that we keep kids out of gangs. That early investment of prevention is well worth whatever we have to do to ensure that those kids have a chance. And when you hear from the school district when they say, we know by the 3rd or 4th grade which children will drop out of school, you know that that early education is critical to the success not only of that child, but here as a city as a whole. And so I just want to thank LA Up for their continued fight. We will stand with you to ensure that those funds are used for the purpose in which the voters voted for them, which was to go to the programs that you all participate in. And so I thank you, Mr. President, for allowing us to have this presentation, and for all the people behind me who, this is not just a job, it's an opportunity for them to give back and to support our children. Thank you very much, Mr. Zine.
You're welcome. Thank you. Congratulations. Our next presentation will be Mr. Alarcon.
Good morning.
I'm check my hand in public. It's like how we went on TV.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay. As you know, once a month I recognize organizations and individuals who do special things regarding child safety. And so today I'm very pleased to recognize the work that is being done to counter the effects of child abuse. Today we are honoring 2 organizations that are doing tremendous work in this regard. So it is a very special day today, because today we are not only honoring strong supporters of child safety in the community, we are also bringing recognition to an important issue in our community, recognizing April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. I'll be introducing a resolution today to declare April Child Abuse Prevention Month in Los Angeles, joining in with the state of California and other states and cities to bring attention to this important issue. Just yesterday, we had a very strong reminder of the need to increase our vigilance in protecting our children from abuse when we learned that at least 46 licensed daycare centers in the state of California are also registered residences for sex offenders. One of them is in Pacoima in my district, and I was stunned to find out that a registered sex offender could be living or use the address of a child care center. But that's what is happening. So we have a lot more to learn. First of all, in terms of some of the shocking statistics in California, every minute a child is reported abused or neglected. Last year, 188,999 of the 8,866,413 in California were reported as being abused or neglected. 65% of the children were neglected, 27% were physically abused, and 8% were sexually abused. Child abuse has a profound effect on the health and well-being of children for the rest of their lives. Child abuse and neglect is tied to so many things that many of you are well aware of. So today it is our pleasure to honor these two organizations. Today we are honored to be joined by leaders in the field of preventing child abuse. So first we'd like to honor the Los Angeles Child Abuse Councils. The Los Angeles Child Abuse Councils consist of 13 community-based councils throughout Los Angeles County. Their mission is to reduce the incidence of child abuse and neglect and to educate the public about child abuse and family violence issues. The membership of Los Angeles Child Abuse Council is made up of professionals working in the fields of child welfare, education, law enforcement, health, and mental health, as well as parents and others concerned about the problems of child abuse and family violence. The Council's projects include the creation of a Blue Ribbon Child Abuse Prevention campaign, dissemination of child abuse prevention materials, and child education resources, the creation of a report card insert on preventing child abuse to be given to parents with a child's report card, and coordination of trainings to council members and community members. The Los Angeles Child Abuse Councils are a shining example of the leadership in the area of child abuse prevention and education. And with us today, we are honored to have Dr. Monica McCoy, the Director of the Los Angeles Child Abuse Councils, Georgianne Bruce, the Service Planning Area Number 7 Child Abuse Council, Howard Jacobs, the Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, and Transgender Council representative, Kathy Walsh, ICANN, Interagency Council on Child Abuse and Neglect, and DCFS, the Department of Child and Family Services for LA County. So accepting the resolution and speaking on behalf of this community is Dr. Monica McCoy.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Alarcon, for your commitment to child safety issues. And thank you for having us here. Council President and Council members, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, during which we are very busy and distribute lots of materials, provide trainings on mandated reporting. We hold health fairs, we have art contests, we are in Sacramento, we are all over the place trying to prevent child abuse. I have distributed some of the materials. You will all have a sample of some of the mini posters that will be saturating Los Angeles County, and also our blue pins. We wear them to represent the Blue Ribbon campaign in April and throughout the year. As you said, the numbers are staggering, particularly in California, Los Angeles County. We have 26% of all the children in the state live in our county, and 1 in 20 of them are being abused. And as you mentioned, the numbers are just staggering. We must do whatever we can. Prevention works. It is successful, as in shaken baby syndrome, different campaigns we have proposed and are committed to. So thank you very much for your support.
I think I neglected to mention one other person, and I don't have it.
Paula Jepson from the San
Paula,
Fernando
oh, here she is. Paula Jepson from the San Fernando Valley How could I forget the San Fernando Valley Abuse Council? I didn't mean to abuse you that way. I apologize. Our second recipient, well, first of all, let me present this resolution to the Los Angeles Child Abuse Council, signed by all the council members. We thank you for the work you do. We try to reflect your interests as much as we can in the work we do, but we can't do it on a daily basis as much as you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we also want to thank the Target Corporation. As you know, everybody knows Target, but what you might not know is that they are huge advocates of preventing child abuse. So it is very much a pleasure to recognize them. For more than a decade, Target Corporation has supported Prevent Child Abuse America. Prevent Child Abuse America provides leadership to promote and implement prevention efforts at both the national and local levels. They build awareness, provide education in the effort to prevent the abuse and neglect of our nation's children. Target Corporation has partnered with Prevent Child Abuse America to produce user-friendly pamphlets and informational pieces for community members, parents, and children that includes information on how to spot potential incidents of child abuse, information on how to be a nurturing parent, something I'm very interested in these days, as well as Mr. Weezar and Wendy Grew, for that matter, and information on how to prevent child abuse, and encouraging parents to become more involved in their children's school and education. In 1986, Prevent Child Abuse America established a National Center on Child Abuse Prevention Research. Target Corporation's commitment to Prevent Child Abuse America is part of a larger commitment to prevent and educate communities on the prevention of family and domestic violence. Today, we're honored to have Ms. Carmen Mock, Vice President of Stores for Target Corporation, to accept this resolution, and we want to thank the Target Corporation. They are right on target with this program, and so we greatly appreciate their work. Carmen?
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Alarcon, and for recognizing Target's support of family violence prevention, specifically child abuse awareness and prevention. We know that strong communities begin with strong families and safe homes. That's why Target is committed to funding programs that will work to strengthen families and promote the happiness and well-being of every child. Target supports hundreds of organizations across the country every year that provide programs and services aimed at preventing or reducing the cycle of family violence, such as the National Domestic Violence Hotline and Prevent Child Abuse America. Here in the city of LA, 1736 Family Crisis Center, Break the Cycle, Hamburger Home, and the Women's Care Cottage are a few of the many organizations that we support. Target's support of child abuse prevention is one component of our Safe Families and Communities initiative. That initiative, combined with our support of education, the arts, and volunteerism, is the backbone of Target's commitment and tradition of making a real difference in the quality of life for children and families and our communities. It is a tradition of partnership that grows stronger every year. Since 1946, we have given 5% of our income to local communities, which today equals more than $3 million per week. Here in Greater LA, Target provided over $5.6 million to nonprofit organizations and schools in 2007. We are very grateful to be recognized by the City of LA for our commitment to the community. On behalf of more than 11,000 Target team members who live, work, and play in Greater LA, thank you for this wonderful recognition. Thank you again, Councilman.
Dr. McCoy mentioned the blue ribbon that I'm wearing and she was wearing. I want to note that my staff put a blue ribbon at each one of your desks. I hope that you will wear it to remind those who would ask you why you're wearing that blue ribbon, that this is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And I know that each of you carry in your heart, not only as council members, but more importantly as parents, that desire. And so thank you so much for allowing us to recognize these important groups that are doing the great work every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alarcon.
Thank you so much.
Okay, go ahead, Nelson.
Our next presentation is Earth Day.
Thank you, Adam. Earth Day with Councilmember Jen Perry. That's our celebrity announcer, Adam Cohen. Thank you, Adam. From Pomelo School. They're watching at school, so Adam's here in council chambers. Jen Perry.
Thank you very much. And as many of you know, we are fast approaching Earth Day 2008. The City of Los Angeles continues to work on our new and innovative ways in which we can improve the environment, whether it's through initiatives like our multifamily recycling program, our alternative vehicle fleet, our green buildings initiative. This council has made green policy a priority here in our city. And earlier this morning, Council President Garcetti joined some of the awardees today up in the Tom Bradley Tower to celebrate and to hand out certificates. I'm also here with Dee Allen, General Manager of the Environmental Affairs Department, to officially celebrate Earth Day and declare the entire month of April Earth Month here in our city. By highlighting this month, we're asking people across our city to take a closer look at our environment, the ways that we can work together to improve its quality and its future. Each year, people from around the nation join together to recognize and celebrate the importance of progressive efforts to maintain the longevity of our environment. What initially started as Earth Day has now become Earth Month. We recognize 15 groups this morning and individuals who've made improvements in our environment top priority in their community, and they were individually recognized upstairs and presented with certificates to celebrate their efforts. And I just wanted to say their names on Channel 35. From Council District 1, Bike Oven. Council District 2, Mud Baron. Council District... If they want to stand up, that's okay. Council District 3, Adam Cohen.
Right here, Adam Cohen.
All right, there he is up there.
Chairing the meeting.
Council District 4, Rio Vista Elementary School. Council District 5, Greg Reitz. Or Greg Reitz? Reitz. Reitz. Council District 6, Sun Valley Beautiful. Council District 7, Plummer Elementary School. Council District 8, Ward AME Church. And from Council District 9, Neelam Sharma. Council District 10, Dolores Reese. Council District 11, Pacific Palisades Girl Scout Troop 128. Okay, you guys can go back to school now. Okay. Council District 12, Target. Council District 13, Northeast Trees. Council District 14, Resurrection Neighborhood Watch. And Council District 15, Jesse Marquez with the Coalition for a Safe Environment. All of these wonderful people and organizations have been dedicated to improving the quality of life for people in their respective communities and in our great city. So a genuine thank you for your dedication and leadership in furthering the common good. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to present a resolution from the city to Dee Allen and to thank her and the entire city family for what they do to make our city a greener place in which to live. And thank you to Dee Allen. Thank you.
Mr. Rosendahl. Followed by Mr. Parks.
I just want to do a shout out, Ms. Perry, about this. Up in the Palisades, the Girl Scouts Troop 128 distributed over 1,800, stand up ladies, reusable grocery bags. They put up 1,800, and I want to announce that the Bureau of Sanitation has partnered with grocery stores to give away 50,000 reusable grocery bags next Monday and Tuesday. And we in the 11th District are going to do it in Ralph's in Brentwood. This is what a bag looks like. Council members, all of us should be running around with these bags and making sure we're making a difference. Thank you very much, folks.
Mr. Parks. Yes, he is. And Mr. Weezer after that.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just would like to acknowledge Pastor Williams and the First Lady, Yvette Williams, and just say thank you for being here. And we're going to bring you back next week to honor you more thoroughly as to your efforts in the ecology. Thank you.
Mr. Weezer.
Thank you very much. A quick congratulations to all the nominees and specifically to the District 14 Resurrection Neighborhood Watch. Started out as an organization who wanted to reduce crime in their community, formed a community watch, and today is not only doing that with very significant results, but also watching out for the health and safety of our residents, opposing the Vernon Power Plant, and opposing the expansion of a waste facility site in there. Thank you very much. You're doing great work protecting the lives of all of Boyle Heights. Congratulations.
Councilmember Hahn. Janice Hahn.
I just want to acknowledge my honoree for Earth Day, Jesse Marquez Jr. Please stand, Jesse. I want to take this opportunity to say that this man has spent his entire life, particularly after his two children got asthma, he lives in Wilmington, dedicated his life to making sure that we began to clean up the air around the Port of Los Angeles. And because of Jesse, we were just able to have a landmark agreement where the port will create a community benefits agreement to the tune of $50 million that will go back to helping the communities of Wilmington and San Pedro. Jesse is dedicated to restoring wetlands in Wilmington. Since the Port of Los Angeles has been growing and expanding, they've taken what used to be tremendous wetlands, both in San Pedro and Wilmington, and Jesse believes that there needs to be a generation of kids who grow up and can experience wetlands in Wilmington. And I'm committed, and I hope I have the commitment of my council to work together to figure out a way where the port will begin using their credits, environmental credits, in Wilmington and San Pedro instead of their environmental credits far, far away that doesn't help the people who are most impacted. Jesse, you are an inspiration to me. You are a man with the purest soul, really, that I think I have ever known in terms of being on message for the people that you love and that you are accountable to in the community of Wilmington. And I feel it is a great honor for me to stand with you and honor you and fight with you for the people of the harbor area. Thank you for all you've done. You have clearly saved probably more lives than you'll ever know.
Mr. Weezer? Mr. Weezer? Mr. Weezer? Did you push your button?
I pushed my button. I already spoke, Mr. President.
Oh, they still got you up again. Okay,
Yes,
thank you. That concludes. Thank you. Connect to you.
Our next presentation, Council President Garcetti.
Thank you very much. I got to say, he's very articulate.
That's the winner for the 3rd Council District, Adam Cohen, for Earth Day. Thank you, Adam.
And I want to congratulate Northeast Trees, the extraordinary group that was honored for Earth Day from the 13th District. You know, another great jewel, not only from the 13th Council District, but from all of Los Angeles, is Paramount Pictures. They've been responsible for the making of American film treasures, from Wings, the first movie to ever win an Oscar for Best Picture, to The Godfather, to Indiana Jones series. And today we honor and celebrate the work of another Paramount gem, somebody who is known and loved throughout these chambers, but throughout the state as well, Christine Essel. Chris... And she brought a very small group of admirers with her. If I didn't know better, I'd say they'd all been drinking in the back or something. But they are a raucous and supportive group. You know, Chris joined Paramount in 1978 and has spent the last 30 years helping to define its role in the community as a philanthropist, employer, and neighbor. And they do all three in a great, great manner. She has served in a number of capacities, including heading the Planning and Development Division, during which time she led efforts to renovate, expand, and beautify the historic Paramount studios in the heart of Hollywood. Chris now serves also as the Senior Vice President for Government and Community Affairs. She supports numerous community organizations through the company's corporate giving programs, community outreach efforts, and employee volunteer programs. In addition, though, to her extraordinary work at Paramount, Chris is a real leader in our community. She's taken leadership roles in our civic organizations throughout Los Angeles, currently serving as her second year, yes, second year, because one wasn't enough for her, as chair of the Central City Association, which represents more than 450 businesses, trade associations, and nonprofit organizations. She's an active board member of the California Film Commission, where she has been a member since 1985 and served 9 of those years as the chair of the commission. Chris is also the vice chair of the California's Workforce Investment Board and understands the important connection between job skills and training and success in the economic arena. And she served for 7 years as our very own Community Redevelopment Agency commissioner here in Los Angeles. Her dedication to community service has been recognized by such prestigious organizations as the City of Hope, the National Women's Political Caucus, the National Organization of Corporate Real Estate Executives, and the Weingart Center, as well as many organizations, I think, that are represented here as well. And today we add to that list an official commendation from the City of Los Angeles. I want to thank David Gershwin, my former Chief of Staff, who helped set this in motion, and my staff, who has loved working with Chris over the years. And just personally, I want to say what a joy you have been to not only be a leader in the business community in CD13 in Los Angeles, but a friend. And I rely on your counsel and your guidance, and we want to present to you. And I've asked the council member from just across the street in Council District 4, which loves Paramount Pictures too, Tom LeBon, to join me, and both of us would like to congratulate Christine Essel for her extraordinary work in Los Angeles. Tom, she is
Christine Essel is an angel in the City of Angels. You go over here, right here, right here.
Oh,
You know how
okay,
that's done
okay.
already.
Oh, all right, all right.
Good job.
I say words and then you'll back clean up?
Thank you. And Chris, before you get to speak, I would like to have everyone who is here supporting Chris Essel stand up, because it is a large group of people who support Chris. And I'd like to just add my congratulations. Chris and I had an opportunity to work together when I was at DreamWorks. And as you see, many of the people here are your competitors who support you, which is very nice. But Chris, I think there was child labor laws broken. They could not have been there 30 years at Paramount. But you have really been, as Mr. Garcetti mentioned, you know, it's not only the community relationship and philanthropic, but you have given of your time and energy to the city on numerous boards and commissions and used your expertise. And we're glad that we're not celebrating any retirement, just that you're 30 years and that you will continue to be active. But you've become a friend to many of us in this city council. So congratulations for your 30 years there at Paramount.
Thank you, Wendy.
So thank you, and it's now your opportunity to say a few words.
All right. Well, I've often witnessed commendations occurring here, and you think, yeah, okay, but when it's all about you, it's really a big deal. Thank you. I want to thank also everybody that came today, my other studio friends, my friends from Paramount, my community friends, and it's really great to have my favorite people here today, so thank you. Yeah, give me a break to gather myself. In 1978, it was a pretty spectacular year for Paramount. It was actually a seminal year in that we kind of turned a corner economically. We had Saturday Night Fever in the theaters. Grease was released a little while later, and we had Heaven Can Wait, a personal favorite of mine, something to do with Warren Beatty, perhaps. And we had Star Trek in production. The first motion picture of Star Trek was in production, and there were 10 sequels to that, and the 10th one is actually is in production right now and will be released next May. So we also had Taxi, Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, and Happy Days on our stages. So, and of course I had so little to do with all that, but it was fun being there. So I'm very proud to be with a company as great as Paramount for 30 years now. They do terrific work in the community. In fact, Joan Whitty, who's here, just organized our 550-person volunteer day yesterday, and we do volunteer work all year long. Was that my cue to quit?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. And it's also been great to be part of the entertainment industry, which is really the heart and soul of the city and an economic driver. So I feel gifted, and it's been a pleasure. So thank you for this. I will continue to play a civic role. Paramount will continue to be active in the community, and I will treasure this commendation forever. So thank you.
Tom, take it
And before you leave, Ms. Essel, Chris, before you leave, Ms. Perry.
I wanted to come in and rush back in here and say a few words to you, Chris. It's kind of hard to believe that you've logged in 30 years. And I don't know if you plan on working another 30 years for Paramount. I'm sure they would have you if you wanted to. You've done an incredible job and strike a fine balance between the interests of your company and the development and the expansion, reaching out to the community, not only the immediate community around the studio, but the community citywide. And your participation at a civic level is unparalleled. And so I've enjoyed working with you and look forward to working with you for many years to come. And this is well deserved.
Madam President, if I could there, Eric, step a step back, if you would there. Just take a look right there at that row of people who came down to support you. They all are just here because they love you, and back here, and they're all from throughout the community. I understand that, but that row is particularly good because everybody was paying attention. Somebody was on a BlackBerry in the fourth row. But anyway, studio, they had a picture deal. But Christine, 30 years I remember because I was then starting my career then with John Ferraro. I have 34 years, a little on you a little bit. I don't know if you'll catch A.C. Lyles, who, how long has he been at Paramount?
God, I hope not.
I know. 80 years. 80 years. He's 80 years. It's tremendous. But that's a compliment to you. And I love the pictures that you did wrap off, because we're going to honor here someone close in the 30th anniversary of the movie Grease. I don't know if you remember Chacha Di Gregorio, who was the best dancer from St. Bernadette. She's coming down here one Friday to be honored. She went to my high school, and I just met her, and it was great to hear her again. She's a professor out at Northridge. But everybody takes a path in their lives, and you took a path at Paramount, and what it did is create a place that is a beautiful campus. Studios are real important to Los Angeles. Motion pictures are absolutely important to Southern California. And Paramount could have moved away 30 years ago. They could have said, you know, we don't want to be in that neighborhood. But not only did you rebuild that lot and beautify the lot and vacated streets and take asphalt parking lots out and put beautiful gateways, you also went across the street to Santa Monica Boulevard School and helped them start the first inner city charter in Los Angeles. You also went to Jordan High School and do things at Jordan High School in Janice Hahn's district, and as Miss Perry mentioned as well. And just the other day, as you had 550 people involved in the Viacom Community Day, there were several at Francis Blend School, which is a very special school of children with sight problems. And the work that you did there created such a difference. But that all comes from being around people like you. You've always had that spirit in you, because not always has companies or corporations said these are values. So you've had the community values. You haven't won every zoning battle with the city of Los Angeles in 30 years for every parking lot that you wanted to consolidate or condense.
That up.
No, but I just want to show the honesty of you. I just want to, no, but you have done the right thing everywhere for Paramount. And introduce you your bosses here who are here today. Let's give some special recognition, if you would.
All of this row here, this fine row here, Anita Werner. And by the way, Anita Werner and Cheryl Thomas did an extraordinary job putting this together. Thank you. Joan Whitty, the volunteer and philanthropic queen. Scott LaTrosse, you all know Scott, Studio Protection. Michael Romano, Studio Development. And Randy Baumberger, our new studio group president. And Sharon Kaiser in charge of our real estate efforts. So yay to all of that. I was a fan.
And we do have one other.
As you know, Madam President, Eunice Chesler, the late great Eunice Chesler, who did such a wonderful job, because you, Christine, and Joan, and others benefited from Eunice's first step in community, because Paramount also opened its doors for the first AIDS walk when long ago, and they've always been there. Let's hear it for Paramount Pictures
and for Chris Essel. Thank you very much, Madam
Thank
President.
you. Before you leave, Mr. Zine. Mr. Zine?
Finally, thank you, finally. I want to also congratulate you, and your work affects many people. I was at that lot recently on the Dr. Phil show, and the cooperation with the folks, the 3,000 people I think that are employed there, the employment at that particular facility. I met with the man who runs the fire department. I went to have lunch with Scott LaChasse, who wasn't there that day, so I had to pay for lunch at the studio because Scott didn't buy lunch that day. So Scott, who used to be with the LAPD, we worked together when we were sergeants, but the whole staff that you have there is absolutely wonderful, and I just wanted to offer my personal congratulations. You open your studio up many times for many groups in the city of Los Angeles, and it helps those groups. When they're doing fundraisers, other activities, I want to acknowledge that. And I know that you're in that Hollywood area, and that Hollywood area is going through revitalization. You've got two great council members, Tom LaBonge and Eric Garcetti, and Scott LaChasse. It's always good to see you here in council chambers, but you've got an incredible crew that manages that facility to make it work so well. So congratulations, and to all the crew, keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Garcetti, Ms. Essel, and Mr. LaBonge. Madam Clerk, first order.
First item is item number 6, and there are cards on this item.
We've not done public comment. We go first to public comment. Should we do that first? Okay. I think we first go out to the San Fernando Valley. Sharon Brewer, out to the San Fernando Valley.
Sharon's not here.
Mr. Darian, would you like to go first? We'll go with you first, Mr. Darian.
Okay. Thank you. Council, good evening, or good afternoon. We're at a situation right now where a couple weeks ago I brought an apparatus, construction apparatus, and discussed how it's used in construction to get our youth moving in construction-related trades. I've had nothing but positive relations with security here. They're outstanding in doing their work, and I have no issue with them whatsoever. But we're at a crossroads here where I will need to bring apparatuses to the City Hall here so that I can use these in an effort to show the council and the public how we can get our youth moving again. And I think we can get through this in a manner that will uphold the security of our building and also be able to show these pieces of equipment and the importance of them and understanding how they're used and the benefits of them for our youth. We have a tremendous problem in violence. We have our manufacturing disappearing as we speak, and it's important that our youth are trained in different aspects in trades so that they can get moving and get working and feel good about themselves and earn money. After school programs are great, but I believe our youth need to be empowered and get paid for it. And I think that the city can hire these people as they're trained they have been trained by people like myself that are in the industry and get these people working. So we need to get past this checkpoint in being able to approve different various tools so we can come in and take a look at them before the council, and you can be enlightened how they're used. I'm sure many of you have used them either yourself or seen how they're used. But our youth as a whole needs to be trained, and that's the focus of what I've intend on discussing in future weeks. So if the council has any comment on it, or if any council member can contact me directly, I'd appreciate talking with them so we can get this matter resolved. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Sharon Brewer there? If not, I will go back to Matt Dowd, followed by Zuma Dog and Michael Hunt. Oh, Ms. Brewer, I'm sorry. Please go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr.
That's
Dowd.
all right. Thank you. Sharon Brewer, public comment. City Council special event fee waivers. July 1st, 2007 through December 31st, 2007, $2,848,083 plus 10 no amounts. January 2008 through April 16, 2008, $1,211,693, 17 no amounts. Total, July 1st, 2007 to April 16, 2008, $4,059,776 plus 27 no amounts given. Special event fee waivers approved by City Council with no dollar amount given will probably never have a dollar amount listed in this council file. The dollar amount listed for a special event doesn't mean that amount was the actual cost waived by the city. Example, motions don't always list LAPD, LAFD, or Office of Public Safety involvement during event. It's an added cost. Council files open to address special event costs. 99-1582, August 18th, 1999, Walters Mover, Wax 2nd. Complete accounting or assessment of special event activities. Last activity, May 25th, 2005, filed to Public Works. 02-0088, January 15, 2002. Weiss mover, Perry Garcetti second. City policy to fee waivers and city-assisted events. Last activity, February 7, 2006, filed to Budget and Finance Committee. 04-1822-S1, May 4, 2005. Zine mover, Parks second. Quarterly reports on services and costs associated with fee waivers. Last activity, May 4, 2005, filed to Budget and Finance Committee. Recapped, $4,059,776 plus 27 no-dollar amounts given. 10.5 months, City Council special event fee waivers. These fee waivers need to stop. The amounts are much more than I'm reporting because of the 27 no amounts given. Please stop the fee waivers. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dowd.
Yeah, thank you. The pleasantries are over, and now we're back to the ugly business of discrimination in the city of Los Angeles. Let's not be talking about the first genocide of the 20th century. Let's talk about genocides in the 21st century. African Americans on Venice Beach, they brought out a law that discriminated predominantly against African Americans, and now the judge said the whole law needs to be thrown out the window. We've got a new zone thing. Oh, but wait, we'll still keep the African American off the beach. So it's discriminatory, and it's like, oh yeah, here's a black guy, why don't we keep litigating, he won't win, because we've had that the whole time, and now he's in a wheelchair. Mike Hunt is reduced, and that's his name, and I'm saying it correctly. It's on the speaker card every time we've ever put it in.
Please refer to him as either Mr. Hunt or Michael Hunt.
I'll call him Mike Hunt. That's his name. Let's go to the Supreme Court over this one, idiot.
Okay, you've been given a warning. Given a warning.
Okay,
It is unacceptable to call someone that
I think
name.
it's a racist city council here, because I'll tell you why. Because when the Tenny Pierce dog food issue came up, 4 Latino council members voted against it and 3 black council members voted for it. The white people, they were split, 50-50. How lovely. But the Latinos and the blacks appear to me to be racist. So Richard Alarcon, I'm talking about him. You've come to the right place, bro. If you think everyone's racist, you joined the right club. But don't be casting me as a racist just because I'm talking about a death. I'm not aligned with Walter Moore. I don't have a political agenda. I'm just horrified at the fact that that happened. I don't feel safe in the city of Los Angeles.
Our next speaker is Zuma Dog.
Getting the latest, y'all. Coming out to City Hall. Yeah, I'd like to say, make sure everybody goes to ZumaTimes.com, because I just had an exclusive interview with Dennis Zine about Jamil's Law versus the City Council motion. And so let's do some clarifications, because it's been on the radio talk shows. The radio and listeners have done a great job covering the difference between Jamil's Law and the City Council motion. Jamil's Law mandates a plan. It doesn't give the specifics to accomplish the goals that they're trying to achieve. It is supported by Mr. Jamil Shaw Sr. and authored by mayoral candidate Walter Moore. And so again, the good thing is it's very decisive in its decision to implement. However, it's only to create a plan would require a lot of departments to have to come together, and I think it would take a lot of time. It's doable, but it would take a long time. Now, Councilmember Zine, seconded by Smith, has come up with a city council motion to make amendments, changes to Special Order 40. People have a problem with the fact it is a request for LAPD to make amendments to Special Order 40. They feel that doesn't go far enough. They say it should be instruct. However, I have clarified with the chief legislative person, Jerry Miller. I've talked to Councilmember Zine here right now, and I understand that the word request is as far as City Council can go, because, there's separation of powers. And, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if Dennis Zine can just say, LAPD, do this? I mean, yeah, I'd run for council for sure. Who wouldn't? So I guess I do understand, though, council is telling me that it would be highly unusual if the council motion is passed and signed off by the mayor for Bratton to not enforce it. And there will be a clarification also with Chief Bratton, who'll be clarifying. Zuma, I have heard that a lot of the things that the community wants done is actually already in Special Order 40. It's just a matter of enforcing it by the spirit and will of the community. Go to ZumaTimes.com for more. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Hunt, followed by Arnold Sachs, and then followed by Oscar Johnson.
Can we get a microphone over here, please?
Sir, we're handling it. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. Black Ironside have arrived. We gave you guys a chance to clean up everything with us. It's still not done. 4215 lies on you guys' desk still with me. I want to thank somebody who spoke up. They know who they are, but it's still not done. The city needs to take care of it. You don't want me here, and I don't want to be here. 3 things. I don't want to be here, you don't want me here, and I got better things to do. Get it together. It was a guy's New Year's resolution to put me back to work. He's not here. He's not even in the room. And on the 4215 day, he didn't say nothing. But his goal and his objective for this new year was to put me back to work. I'm not back to work. I'm still here. I'm still going to be here. Just you guys need to get it together. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Mr. Sachs, followed by Oscar Johnson.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, could you please reset the time?
Yes, Mr. Sachs, but I would ask in the future that when we do call your name and you're the next speaker to please come up.
I'll try to do my best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Start it back at 2 minutes then, please.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to congratulate the mayor on his new gang initiatives that have taken place. The speed at which it occurred from last Wednesday to being authorized in the committee meeting to having the plan put into motion by this Wednesday is just incredible. It says a lot about how inconsistent things are around the horseshoe here, that he could get done what's been proposed in less than a week. It says something about what's going on behind the scene. I'd also like to thank him for the political business that's going on, where the people who were running for the seats dropped out of races so that one of them could be appointed. I think his brother-in-law or his nephew or his cousin or somebody in his family is now a member of one of the planning commissions that oversee rules and regulations in the city. Then I'd like to get a clarification on the policing staffing that's going on. You've heard of burial at sea. The public is getting burial by fee. The police officers that do the screening at City Hall, are they considered part of the police officers? Are they considered staffing members, police officers that are being paid by the trash disposal initiatives? What exactly is the 1,000 police officers defined as? There seems to be a lot of repetition going on with that. I'd like to know about the audit done by Laura Chick. Mentioned something about there was excessive number of police officers working at Parker Center, not counting the ones on disability or waiting to come back to full service, but what is being done to move them and put them out on the field. And finally, the trash over at City Hall East on the bulletin board, there's over 200 pages of crap. It needs to be removed by the corresponding agency so that you can...
Thank you very much. Mr. Oscar Johnson.
Good morning, City Councilman. My name is Oscar Johnson, and I'd like to speak against the Los Angeles Police Department. Los Angeles Police Department that killed 13 innocent people. We should end corruption in government. If we can end corruption in government, we can stop gang violence. If we can end corruption in government, we can stop illegal immigration. If we can end corruption in government, We can stop drugs on our street. We can stop drugs coming in from county to underground that have made it to our hospital and our pharmaceuticals that's sold across the county, generic stuff. Shouldn't be in our country. If we can stop corruption in government, we can stop government waste with an 8-mile rail system from USC to Santa Monica. Government waste from corruption in government. If we can stop corruption in government, we can build a better tomorrow for our future and a better tomorrow for our own self, and we can try to clean up government. We should direct ourselves to our youth, try to bring them to some use for more moral responsibility for themselves and society, and just something that's thrown away and just to be prone with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That closes public comment. Madam Clerk, first item.
First item is item 6, and that item has cards.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to Sharon Brewer, out in our San Fernando Valley City Hall. Ms. Brewer.
Hi. Sharon Brewer, item number 6, special event fee waivers, 8 total, 4 with amounts, $20,929, 3 reimbursed, 1 no amount.
Yeah, he spoke.
Some of there's only 2 large amounts. One is for $8,409 for Our Lady of Loretto Elementary School Spring Carnival, and we have a $10,102 third annual 5K walk all over cancer. We have one that's the no amount. The sponsor is Orange 20 Bikes Plus and LA County Bicycle Coalition. It's from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. We have street closure, street services, and DOT. Again, with some of these events, when you have a carnival, you have LAPD involved and you have the fire department. I didn't look under that one council file to see whether or not that is included in the fee. And for this week, $124,639 and 3 no amounts have been before City Council today. Again, you need to, with the budget problems and the mayor asking for the public to pay $10 more for trash fees, you need to start looking at these special event fee waivers before you go to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Matt Dowd.
Yeah, first of all, I found a pair of Armani sunglasses here from the presentations. I've given them to Mike Hunt, so if you're looking for them, he's got them. Just give us a little donation for being honest about it. We could have sold them at a pawn shop, probably got $100. But anyway, Mr. City Attorney, I better stay on topic. First of all, these are good. This is okay today. I'm sorry, Sharon Brewer. This is a pretty good one. They're all reimbursing the city. We got the Jack Weiss clause after 7 years. It's finally working. That's how long it takes to get anything in this city done, except to have your streets repaired. That's 80 years. But anyway, I like this. We got a couple of good ones. The YMCA Healthy Kids Day, $1,600. Nothing wrong with that at all. And these ones, the Kiss the Bride movie premiere, they're paying it back, y'all. They're paying it back. Janice Hahn got one for Bernie and Tom LaBonge, the annual 5K walk all over cancer. See, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's okay. How about you cut a couple of attorneys out? That'll save some money for the city. They've been dragging you down to the tune of millions of dollars. So, no, but this is relevant because we need to find money for this, Mr. City Attorney. So don't be trying to cut me off. Get the wide angle on the City Attorney trying to cut me off at every turn.
Please
just
continue.
There's a financial deficit. Thank you, Madam President. There is a serious $500 million financial deficit. And people are, Sharon Brewer saying, cut out these fees. That's ridiculous. We're never going to cover the deficit with a couple of thousand for a Hollywood, Wilshire, YMCA Healthy Kids. I mean, at least we can do that for the kids in the city. They risk getting shot walking home from school by illegal gang members, so at least have a Healthy Kids thing. Thank you for that.
Zuma Dog.
Yeah, I got to film my own reality show because my crew didn't show up, y'all. But first of all, something very seriously on the realest, though. If you look at number C, And I would say it says item number C, relative to the block party, special event fee absorbed by the city, cost. None submitted, y'all. Well, why you gonna prove something? You don't know how much it's gonna cost, y'all. It's gonna turn out to be like one of them DWP line item 18536s, y'all. We end up throwing on all kinds of miscellaneous expenses, y'all, because there's no accountability or transparency because it doesn't say how much it's gonna be, y'all. So if we can please have it removed from it and approved the next time when we know how much. How can city council approve something they don't know how much it is, y'all? I wish my bank account worked that way, y'all. So meanwhile, let's talk about the special event fee waivers that we hear Sharon Brewer and and so many other people talk about. The special event fee waiver is supposed to be for nonprofit, small little community events open to the public for community benefit, so that if you have some kind of school or church or little nonprofit small thing with a bunch of little old ladies that want to have the little thing to play dominoes or cards or whatever and raise some funds, well then the city will pick up things for the city will pick up the tab for the things like the trash collection and the maintenance fees, maybe some police. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. However, like everything with Los Angeles City Council, it turns out to be very abuseful, y'all, and they try to pilfer the coffers and funnel it at their own ways. And so then what happens, it goes for things like Dick Clark's $20,000 for his American Music Awards. That thing made millions of dollars. How come the city's picking up the tab? Things like the Dodgers, a professional thing that makes millions and millions hand over fist, and we got a $700 million budget crisis here in the city, and we're spending things where, Vanity Fair parties, Academy Awards, Geffen Records, Universal, all types of things, y'all. So we shouldn't be paying these fees because we got a $700 million budget deficit coming up, y'all. And so Zuma Dog says, first of all, you should say no to all of these, but at least number C, the people are watching.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you could please open the roll on item number 6, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next item.
Next is item 8, and there is a card on this item.
Yes, Matt Dowd, followed by John Wakefield.
Actually, no, I'm not speaking on this one. It's a mistake. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wakefield.
I would invite, I live on Griffin Avenue, and I have for over 30 years. This is a motion to try to see whether or not the traffic in the area has to be calmed. I would invite everybody on the council in their lunch hour to drive up the freeway, the 110, to Avenue 52 and go right and take that down as it goes back down to 43. This street is a secondary highway. It doesn't matter what you relabel it, it is a secondary highway. There is a tremendous amount of traffic that comes down the 110 from Pasadena every morning. The roar is deafening. And whenever there's a lane closed on the Pasadena, the people get off on Avenue 52 and they take Griffin and 52 down to Broadway to work their way downtown or wherever else they want to go. When you put in speed bumps, basically what you do is that you force many people to have to drive below the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit just because a few people drive over the speed limit. I would like to know, are you talking about 1,000 people who drive within the speed limit? Whenever you have these people siphoning off of the freeway, if you have speed bumps, it is going to slow down to a crawl. They're going to be backed up. You're going to have rear-end accidents. What I think you should do is have this meeting, not voted on today, until all of the council members go up and drive through it. You can do it in a half an hour and be back here at your offices because there doesn't have to be any calming in the area. I have lived there for 30 years. I live on the northwest side of Griffin, in between 43 and Montecito Drive. I hike in Debs Park almost every day. I'll probably do it today. Am I out of time?
Yes,
I thought I had 5 minutes.
No, 2 minutes.
That's really...
Would you like to say a concluding comment?
Oh, they do. Well, okay. I would just ask that this matter be put off and there not be a study until the council members go through and look at the area on their own.
Thank you very much. And we encourage you, I know it's in Mr. Reyes' district.
Correct.
Yes. Mr. Reyes' district, I ask you to, you might want to consider talking to their office as well. Thank you. Madam Clerk, that item is now before us. Open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next item.
Next is item 9, and there is a card on this item.
Mr. Dog?
Yes, put me up for just 1 minute, please. Just 1 minute here. Anytime. I have some friends that are watching at home in El Sereno, and whenever there's a transfer of funds in CD14, it's something the community likes to know about. So this is a transfer of $12,000 in CD14 Real Property Trust Fund. And for the people, my friends watching at home, it's Trust Fund number 696 to General Service Fund 100/40 is for salaries and overtime for various repairs to the El Sereno Constituent Service Center. So please check that out for the people watching. Again, anytime a transfer of funds in CD14 is something that always generates attention. This one is only for $12,000 and is for the Real Property Trust Fund. Yeah. Check things out at ZoomaTimes.com for more on this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, please open the roll on this item, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next item.
Next is item 10, and there is a card on this item.
Yes, Mr. Dowd.
Thank you. Yes, 1 minute only too, Mr. Attorney. I like this one. I'm starting to like Wendy Gruhl because she's no nonsense getting into the real good issues, and she even called me Princess Zion when I was Princess Zion. So I respect that. This is a good one. Safety Seat Checkup Week in the city of Los Angeles. Mr. LeBone, if you're listening, this is important. These are the children. Let's get everybody down and get those safety seats checked because there's a lot of traffic out there. You're jamming people in with the track maps and the density. The freeways are jammed and there's a lot of congestion and people in a hurry. They're trying to change lanes and do all these crazy things and they got kids in the back. At least when the inevitable happens, folks, your kids are safe. They're going to be strapped into that nice, warm, fuzzy seat and it's going to keep them protected. I know I had 3 children. They always got buckled up and went into one of those safety capsules, and they're ready to come downtown to City Hall. In fact, I grew 3 children. They've been watching me on TV. They know my issues. They're coming to City Hall, y'all.
Thank you. That item is now before us. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next item.
Next is item 12, and there are cards on this item.
Yes, Matt Dowd, followed by Zuma Dog.
So, yeah, lovely segue. The last one I mentioned, density, and here we go straight into the tracked maps. See, I notice on the agenda, I'm only taking 1 minute for this too, thank you, because I think I got one more track map, item number 16, and I want to mention that, but let me stick on this one first so I'm not out of order. Boo-hoo. So, yeah, density, traffic problems, we got traffic mitigation. The good gentleman was here talking about the traffic mitigation issues, that we got speed bumps everywhere because, like I said, people are in a hurry to get places. But guess what? We're just jamming them in. We'll just jam them in first, and then we'll worry about the infrastructure later, Los Angeles. Let's just get them all in. The developers are making campaign contributions. All the elected officials, they don't care. They're taking their campaign contributions, except for Greg Smith. He knocked the big Las Lomas one on the head. That's the starting point. Let's start knocking off a few of these other track maps. Greg Smith, we need you back. Where are you? Get back.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That item is now before us. Open the roll. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Zumadog, I apologize. You did not make your way up to the podium. Mr. Dog.
Map blew it. I was hoping you'd have to reconsider it. But anyway, this is track maps. And when you read things in the LA Weekly or LA Times or Zuma Times about density, about traffic problems, about lack of infrastructure, about not enough police, about not enough schools, not enough maintenance, not enough place to put things, not enough water, and too much traffic, and it's at a boiling point, that's because City Council's on a track map approving frenzy. If it was a movie, it'd be a horror show, and it'd be you know what? It's not a movie. It's a daily series. It's a horror series. It's City Council approves way too many track maps without enough infrastructure. The roads aren't getting wide enough. Let me tell you something, people. You can't, there goes Herb Wesson, y'all. He's in the housing department. Thank you. I'm so glad you'll stay because you're in the housing department, and they're the ones that approve all this stuff, y'all. So I'd like to say there's way too many track maps being approved. I started started when I first came here. I'd see 1 or 2 a day, and it started to trickle. 15 track maps a day. These Quimby fees. No wonder they like to approve these things. $293,000, $53,000, $148,000, $121,000. Maybe you find out why we got so many track maps. But let me tell you why. I say you got to stop with all these track maps because the city of Los Angeles is getting too congested. There's not enough. There's no more room on the roads. There's no more water for all these. We're going to have water problems. You don't have enough police. You don't have enough trash collection. You don't have enough teachers. You don't have enough workers. There's not. And plus, there's not going to be any demand because that Grand Avenue project's a big lemon. They had to run to Dubai to get investors. It's such a loser of a project. How come they couldn't get any other investments? They had to go. And so the reason is there's not going to be demand for all of these track maps with loser projects, with no demand, with taxes everywhere. Nobody's going to move into these track maps when you're charging 25 cents here and Prop S and this. Stop with these track maps with the density and with the fees, y'all. Nobody can afford to live.
Much. Madam Clerk, please open the roll on this item, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next item.
Next is item 16, and there's a card on this item.
Yes, Mr. Matt Dowd.
Yeah, I'll take 2 minutes on this one if I can. Thank you. And once again, I want to tell the good
Mr.
people...
Dowd, just so you know, you have 1 minute left, Mr. City Attorney has noted.
Oh, okay. Like I said the other day, folks, we need some more people to come and help us out and attack the agendas and look through all the shadiness and all the things that are going through. I'll tell you what's happening in the city of Los Angeles, folks. See, summer's coming. You're going to be sitting there sweltering in the valley, and you're going to wonder why your air conditioner goes out, and the whole block goes out, and the whole suburb goes out, and you're going to drag David Nahai down here and say
He
you just
doesn't
put
appear
up
to be talking about the item on the agenda.
Oh, it's all related to the density which is its development, and these track maps are the telltale fingerprint that you're making new developments all over the city that are jamming people in who shouldn't be here, and then everyone's going to wonder why their power and their water and everything fails because everybody's got the demand all the time in the peak hour, and David Nahai is going to say, we need more money and more money and more money. Just stop putting the people in because we don't have to build all this infrastructure if you stop building the... Oh, help me out, Zuma Dog.
Thank you very much. That's the last speaker queue on that item. Madam Clerk, please open the roll. No, there was no card. There was no card, and he's indicated you've reached your 5 minutes. The city attorney's indicated you reached your 5 minutes. So, Madam Clerk, if you could open the roll on item number 16, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next items?
There are motions for posting and referral.
Those will be posted and referred.
Madam President, there are excuses on the desk.
Please.
Councilmember Grohl requests to be excused on April 23rd for city business and November 25th and 26th for personal business. A motion is required.
Takes a motion.
Thank you. Mr. Garcetti moves, and Ms. Hahn seconds. Next item.
Councilmember Perry requests to leave at 12 noon on April 23rd and to be excused on May 16th for city business. A motion is required.
Ms. Gruhl will move that, and I'll second. Without objection, that excuse is granted.
President Garcetti requests to leave at 12 noon on May 28th for city business. A motion is required.
I don't know about that one, but reluctantly I will move that one. Mr. Weezar, thank you for the second. Without objection.
Councilmember Reyes requests to be excused on May 23rd for city business. A motion is required.
All right, Mr. Zai moves. Mr. Rosendahl seconds without objection.
Councilmember Alarcon requests to arrive at 11:30 a.m. on May 9th and to be excused on June 18th for city business. A motion is required.
Okay, Mr. Parks moves. Mr. Laban seconds without objection. That excuse will be granted.
And that clears the desk.
All right. Any announcements of a business nature, colleagues? Mr. Parks.
President, I saved mine until Ms. Hahn was here, so...
That's very sweet of you.
First one is just for the general public to know that there is going to, at the area of Royal Street from 32nd to Jefferson, there's going to be a 218 hearing that's going to be held at the Board of Public Works May 19th at 9:30 a.m. Regarding their lighting system. And the other one is just for all of our information in the public. The MTA has moved forward on their draft of their long-term transportation plan. There's only 45 days to review, and there's only 2 additional meetings left. And anyone interested in the location, there's one in the city of LA at the Marvin Browdy Constituent Center on April 23rd. For those comments, go over the MetroNet website.
Thank you. Mr. LaBonge. And then Mr.
On
Rosendahl.
that MTA site, they should do more for the San Fernando Valley. They're not doing enough on that MTA plan. But anyway, they're stopping the subway at Chandler, push it out to the valley. Just wanted to wish everybody a happy weekend, and it's Earth Weekend, Earth Day celebration. Go out and take a hike at Griffith Park and see some tremendous flowers, beautiful flowers.
Mr. Rosendahl.
I just want to say that Janice Hahn and Wendy Gruhl and I went back to Washington with the mayor and 200 business leaders, and also the mayor of Santa Monica, the mayor of San Gabriel, the mayor of Huntington Beach, and leaders from Ontario. And we had a great 2 days on transportation issues, port issues, and airport issues. It was a terrific combination of the business community and the elected community meeting with the Washington leadership. And I also want to make one little footnote that Senator Feinstein did a presentation for breakfast yesterday morning that was incredible about the federal budget, about the climate change that we're in, and other issues. And I was very proud to say that we have a great senator that puts some real leadership out there for all of us to appreciate. All of the meetings we had with the other electeds, for me, either Laura Richardson or Jane Harmon, and a whole coalition of assembly, with House Representative members, and even with Secretary of Security Chertoff, where the mayor and I had a very productive meeting with him as well. It was a great trip, and I certainly was happy to be with Wendy Gruhl and Janice Hahn. It was great.
Great.
Thank
you very much, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Zine?
I just wanted to wish all of our Jewish population a happy Passover. This is Saturday at 6 p.m., sundown. So happy Passover to all.
About 7:30, we'll be enjoying Seder's and wishing a very happy Passover to everybody. If I could ask everybody to please rise. It's now time for our adjourning motions. Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It is with great sadness that I ask you to adjourn in memory of one of my constituents, Chet Masika, who died on April 12th, 2008, at the age of 77. He was a very active member in the Sherman Oaks community and a true tenant advocate. He was a member of the Coalition for Economic Survival and really was a model. And Chet and I met via the internet first. His emails to me when their building of 100 units was potentially going to be converted to condos. Very, very passionate, he and his wife. And it was probably less than a month ago that he sat in my office once again with a group of people saying how important it was. And he was articulate and I'll say passionate again because he was. And so it was really a shock when I saw the email recently that he died suddenly. And I know that all of the people who are in that building and others across the city appreciate what he did as a tenant advocate. He was born in the Bronx, New York, and lived in Los Angeles for 22 years. He is survived by his wife, Judy, of 22 years. And again, they're a great couple, and my heart goes out to you, Judy, because I know he was your soulmate and your partner and someone who you counted on a lot. And so in lieu of flowers, they've asked donations to be sent to the Coalition of Economic Survival, 514 Shadow Place, Suite 270, LA 90020. And I know that all of us send our deepest regrets to you and your entire family.
Thank you very much. Mr. Weiser?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we adjourn today as well in memory of Abraham Chavez. He's the grandfather of one of my staff members, Roberto Aceves. He passed away Friday, April 4th, in his home in Zacatecas, Mexico. He was born March 16th, 1916, in Zacatecas, Mexico. He is the father of 5 children, a grandfather of many, and he will be remembered by his family as someone who is very loving, very generous, and a hard-working man who set an example for the rest of his children and his grandchildren. He will be missed by many.
Mr. LaBonge.
Members, I ask for you to adjourn in memory of Oliver Johnston, Jr., the last of the old men, as referred to as the Disney animator. He went to work after graduating from Stanford for Walt Disney on Hyperion Avenue and created many of the great characters that we all know and love. He was preceded his death by his wife, Marie, in 2005. They were married 63 years, and we ask that we adjourn in memory of Oliver Johnson, Jr., the last surviving member of the celebrated Nine Old Men Disney Animators. That term, Nine Old Men, was coined by Walt Disney in reference to the Franklin Delano Roosevelt's term of the Supreme Court. So you have that good. But the last of the 9 old men of Disney animator, Oliver Johnson Jr., just passed. In addition, members, and Mr. Johnson lived a great life, well into his 90s, but a tragic loss took place for the USC Keck School of Medicine. Dr. John Stein, only 45 years old, one of the greatest up-and-coming surgeons, great scholar as it relates to cancer, was on a trip to a conference in Florida and had some disease, odd blood disease, and passed at 45 years old. They worked feverishly to save his life, but were unable to. A great scientist who has the unusual skill as a surgeon and a compassionate bedside manner. He was an absolute star, was Dr. John P. Stein, as a innovator and surgeon. A terrific role model, and touched the lives of thousands and saved the lives of many people. He's survived by his wife Randy and their 4 children, John, Joseph, Eleanor, and Louisa May. Dr. John Stein was a great professor at the USC Keck School of Medicine, involved at USC North. His funeral was today. He's being laid to rest right now as we all adjourn in his memory.
Thank you very much. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 3 adjourning motions. Longtime resident of the 8th District, Marie B. Lewis, passed away on March 13, 2008. She was born in September 1936. She leaves behind her husband, James Owens Lewis, 2 daughters, 4 grandchildren, a host of nieces and nephews. Also ask that we adjourn in memory of Augusta Henderson, who passed away Wednesday, April 2nd. He was born in 1920 in Louisiana. He was the 4th of 6 children. At the time of his death, he was a longtime faithful member of the Evening Star Missionary Baptist Church. He was on the deacon board, also served in the capacity of Sunday school superintendent during his tenure. He received many certificates. After leaving high school, he enlisted in the Air Force, and after discharge moved to California in the mid-40s. He is survived by his daughter, and most of us have had a long-term relationship, Bobby Jean Anderson, who's been a long-time union and also political activist in the community, 1 grandson and 1 granddaughter. Also, I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of Randolph Preston Lomax, born in New Jersey. He attended Wadsworth Elementary School and McKinley Junior High and John Adams Junior High before graduating from Jefferson High School. He also attended the Anderson Business School in Los Angeles. He worked for 23 years as a loan officer for First Commercial Finance Company. He joined the Zion Hill Baptist Church and actually was under the religious guidance of his uncle, Reverend Grant Harris, who later started the Good Shepherd Baptist Church on Figueroa. He served on the Board of Trustees and Finance before his death. Many of his services are April 19th, 11 a.m. at Good Shepherd. Many of us would know Randolph because of his relationship. He was the brother-in-law of Gertrude Gibson and the uncle of Reve, who both have been involved in a number of cultural and art issues within the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you. Mr. Stein.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 adjournments. First is George Morris, husband of Faye Morris, who is president of Temple Aliyah Senior Club. Passed away April 8th. George was in the United States Navy, born and raised in Los Angeles. 81 years of age, worked for 25 years in designing business with his brother, a member of Temple Aliyah and the cycling club in the San Fernando Valley. He loved to cycle, and at times he would cycle 200 miles with his club to various destinations. Loving husband and friend, survived by his wife Faye, who's president of the Temple Aliyah Senior Club in Woodland Hills. May he rest in peace, George Morris. My other adjournment is for Albert Livingston, passed away April 13th. Passed away on April 13th. Retired Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force, navigator at 18, and the B-24 Liberator with the Flying Horsemen, 449th Bomb Group in Europe during World War II. Born in Concord, New Hampshire in 1925, graduated from MIT. Career ranged from NASA to business, having co-founded TSP Associates, a pension operation. He was the beloved husband of Marjorie, the father of Sharon Vinner and Stephen Livingston, leaves 4 grandchildren. He will be deeply missed by his family and friends. Survived by his wife Marjorie, daughter Sharon Vinner, and son Stephen Livingston, and 4 grandchildren. May Albert Livingston rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. With that, Madam Clerk, if you'll please call the roll. We will next be in session on Tuesday, the 22nd of April.